We're back again. It's Fightful Overbooked. It's Friday, April 21st. Hope you all had a good day of yesterday. I'm Joel Pearl. It's time to get in the weeds with Jeremy Lambert, and we're just going to get right into it because we have a bit of a time crunch. Andrew Zarian is joining us from Wrestling Observer and Matt Men podcast. We're going to talk about a little bit of a return that's coming to the wrestling world. First of all, Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. What a great week this is. Beautiful out today here in New York. I've had a very eventful week. I'm on like 4 hours of sleep. I think that's why I agreed to come on, because I have not slept. But I was like, Joel's like, hey, you want to come on? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. You know. Thank you for having me. First of all,
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, such short notice. So So Jeremy, I want you to tee this up because I was literally on the way to daycare trying to like catch up on everything. Catch us up, and then we'll have a full conversation about what's going on with the AEW and CM Punk.
So Andrew Zarian, the man himself, reports that CM Punk is going to be back, and it's going to be June. Let me get the date: June 17th, Saturday, United Center. And that seems to be the debut episode of AEW Collision. I'll get the wording right. It's the tweet is, spoke to a few people this week. It seems AEW will be running the United Center on Saturday, June 17th. This could be the date for CM Punk's return to AEW and the debut episode of AEW Collision. And you can find more at 10:30 on Matt Men podcast or right here.
Thank you very much.
On Zarian's just gonna be like, come on, just like, yeah, watch Batman and then leave. That's what
yeah, Jeremy, before we went on, he goes, you know, it would be really funny if you were like, yeah, this, like, you know, you intro me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll have all the information at 10:30 on Batman, and I just leave.
I figured you were just gonna filibuster with us for the next like 30 minutes, and then
I thought about that too. You know, it's a I sat on this for a while. And last week when I was doing Matt Men, I don't know if you were watching, Joe, but I got very confused with where this event's happening, because I did not realize that AEW actually announced Wintrust. And originally I was told this would happen at Wintrust Arena, which would be an easy sellout for them. While I'm doing the show, I'm being told no, that is not happening, and it's United Center. So I sat on that for about a week because I wanted to confirm, you know, you want to do your due diligence and you want to contact the right people. And I got in touch with someone that happens to work with the United Center, and they're like, oh yeah, June 17th, AEW.
Yeah, so what Fightful Selected heard was the Wintrust story that you had opened up with. Yeah. And I was listening to your particular episode of Matt Men, happened to have been just popped in. And I was saying, you know, one of the best parts about it, if it had been the 21st, was that the NBA playoffs will be 100% over by then, because the last possible game, game 7 in the finals, would have been June 18th. So now, the 17th, if that's the date that they're going with, you still don't run into a playoff game, so you're in the clear. So in terms of like scheduling, it made perfect sense. And doing it in Chicago, yeah, you do the United Center. It's kind of become the home of CM Punk and AEW. So this kind of makes sense. It all comes together. Are they going to try and play it off like last time and make it the worst kept secret in wrestling, or like what are we doing here?
It is the worst kept secret in wrestling, but that's because a lot of people are excited about it. You know, tons of people are talking about it. Tons of people are asking about it. People from AEW reached out to me. I would say that about a month ago, the rumbling started with CM Punk. The Collision stuff, I mean, we spoke about this a bunch. Like the original concept of the show, or at least what I was told, was not an A tier, an A1 show. It was described to me as, you know, we need to get more TV time. Turner's very interested in having more AEW wrestling on their properties. And this was another fun way to get an hour out. Now, I mean, this was very early on, and it was told to me by somebody within AEW. So, I mean, they could have possibly not really known what Tony was planning here. And they could have, you know, just told everybody this is what the idea is, rather than saying, you know, CM Punk's coming back. But originally, it was supposed to be just to get more talent on TV. There was an opening. There were some conversations about a 6 p.m. time slot, a 6:05, you know, back to Saturdays on TBS or TNT. And that very quickly changed. It ended up, I mean, it was within, you know, a couple days I was told, no, actually, it's changing. So I guess things move very fast with CM Punk with this, and they came up with this concept. I don't know the logistics of how it'll work, but it's exciting stuff.
Do we think this gets announced at the Warner Brothers upfronts? That's scheduled for May 17th. So we're less than a month away from that. Do you think this is the big rollout? Punk's back. Here's the date. Here's the announcement of Collision, and even announcing an extension, because we were talking a little bit off air of like James Andrew Miller was on Jimmy Traina's podcast, and he's like, oh, I know for a fact that people in Warner Brothers are interested in WWE. It seems like, well, if they're going to add more AEW programming, I don't know how interested they are. I'm sure they are interested in WWE, but I don't know how feasible it actually is. So Warner Brothers upfronts seems like a big, like, here's a lot of AEW stuff coming.
So at 9:25 a.m., I got a quote from somebody at Warner regarding the WWE interest. And I will be talking about that on Matman at 10:30 today.
There we go.
There you go. You know what? I would have said it, but now you guys pushed me to do it. I would say that is it's speculative, and also how could you not be interested? You would have to be a dummy not to be interested in WWE product if it's available for you and it's affordable for you. There aren't too many properties on television, especially cable, that could create a consistent audience week after week, and it's live 52 weeks out of the year. You don't have a 12-episode season, and you're not paying NBA money, you're not paying NFL money. It's a very hot property, especially if you're in the sales game, and this is what it really comes down to. Now, would Warner be interested? Would they be able to sell WWE? Absolutely, but I based on what was said to me, I don't see that being a reality, but you know, I don't know if there's an extension. Now, upfronts, yes, I did hear that they're announcing it at upfronts, which would be where you would want to, you know. It's interesting, and it shows you the relationship between Warner Media and AEW right now to commit 5 hours a week on prime time, you know, as close to prime time. I mean, Rampage is on at 10, but still, you have a gigantic audience you're putting this in front of. You have tremendous reach, and you're now selling 5 hours worth of advertising for this product. You are in bed with this company. They are very much there's tremendous synergy between the two of them. I know it's very positive, the conversations regarding AEW. I rarely hear anything negative. So I see them, you know, extending their deal, whatever terms they're going to do, 4 years, 5 years, 3 years. I don't know. But, you know, this paid off for Warner for sure. When originally this started off with an ad split, right? Wasn't that the conversation that they were going to do a revenue split, and immediately they were able to get some sort of money for their product? Immediately they added Rampage, and now 3 years later they have a second A tier. I'm using hand quotes here for people listening. A tier 2-hour product on Saturdays.
So before I ask my next question, I do want to call up this chat. Andrew Zarian, you need to get the people what they want and unbutton that shirt a bit.
All right, here we go.
Da, da, da.
It's too
We
early.
gotta make people pay for this. We got to make people pay for this. What's
That's
there
true.
here?
If you want,
Maybe this could be a Fightful Select exclusive. Andrew Zarian's unbuttoning.
that's right. The next one has to be a super chat. The next unbuttoning button got to be a super chat. So you and I, Andrew, we talk about business in wrestling when we do. Do you consider this to be a sustainable option for AEW, having not just Collision and a second 2-hour show now on Saturdays, but also if this soft brand split, hard brand split, whatever it is, do you think that this is something sustainable? Is it something that maybe can change over time? What are your feelings about adding the second 2-hour show?
I understand why they're doing it. There's money, obviously, and you want to continue growing, and this shows more brand connection with Warner, with them giving you more shows. So I totally understand why Tony would want to do this. I think this is a smart move as far as financials go and business goes. However, you know, to write another 2 hours of TV, and I got to tell you, like, Dynamite was not great this week. I was not crazy about it. And you're going to have to now spread that amongst, you know, another 2 hours. It's going to be difficult, but, you know, Tony's smart. He's not a dumb guy whatsoever. He's very creative. He understands wrestling. So it's very possible they could do another great show, but this leaves a lot of questions on the table. One, what do you do with Rampage? What happens with Rampage now? What kind of tier show is it? You still have Ring of Honor, which was, as far as I know, early on, Warner was not interested in having them on a property on TV at the time being. Now, this may change, you know. To me, it was said, like, listen, it's going to be a negotiation year, so obviously they're not going to commit to anything now. They want to get the ball rolling with the contract, and I think it's fair for both sides. That's why Tony announced for Honor Club. His end goal is not for that show to be on Honor Club. It's not going to gain anything other than what they're doing right now, which is not much. It's just, you know, a TV taping at Dynamite or Rampage. So there's a lot of questions here. And does Tony continue writing all the Ring of Honor TV and all the WWE TV, all the AEW TV conspiracy theories? Ooh, Tony's really writing Raw and SmackDown now. You know, it's. I'm hoping this is not a Thunder-like situation for them. I'm hoping that this is another way to highlight great wrestling and great talent, but we don't know until it actually starts.
How much of this really hinges on CM Punk? And what I mean by that is, does Tony sell this to Warner as, hey, we're going to do this show and it's going to be based around CM Punk. We know he's a ratings draw. Does Warner come to Tony and we want CM Punk back. Let's, instead of Collision being this 1 hour show, let's make it a 2 hour show and actually make it mean something. Does CM Punk go to whoever he goes to and say, hey, let's do this. Let's basically build the show around me and around a brand split. How much is CM Punk just all hinging on this entire thing?
I don't necessarily know if CM Punk is going to be exclusive on this show. I don't think he should. I think I was told it's going to be swapping. The rosters will go back and forth. Some people will be, a hard brand split. Some people will be exclusively on one show. But I don't know if any, okay, we're going to do a draft and this is a CM Punk show and only CM Punk is on Collision and not on Dynamite. I don't know if that's true. I would hope not, because you're alienating a large portion of your audience on one of those nights, and that's never a positive. So, I do know that CM Punk was not part of the conversation when I heard about the show back in February. So I don't know if Tony had that in his back pocket and he started the negotiation with, hey, let's do this show, and then slowly kind of gave Warner more. But Warner definitely is psyched to have him back. They understand the viewership power that he has. They understand that he's a name, he's a recognizable name, and close to, a golden age of wrestling. People know John Cena, people know Dave Bautista, people know Randy Orton, people know CM Punk. From that era of wrestling. And there's a huge population that's still watching from there. So if you could get one of those guys, absolutely, you want them on your TV. And I'm sure there's more names that Warner would love to see on their property. It's just a matter of getting the deal done. And now you have this unique opportunity with this guy again, and hopefully it goes better this time.
Our pal Kate Elizabeth from Fightful says, what happens to the titles here? And hi, Andrew Zarian.
Hello.
I think you kind of just hit the nail on the head. If they split, they're not set on either show. They it's like Pack A, Pack A1. 1 week you're on Dynamite, 1 week you're on Collision. Back and forth. Here we go. Am I right? Am I on the nose or what? Would that work more?
I mean, isn't that what AEW does generally? 1 week you're on Rampage and 1 week you're on Dynamite. I mean, it kind of they've done this for a while. You see Kenny Omega on Dynamite, you're not going to see him on Rampage. You're going to see him on Rampage the following week, but you're not going to see him on Dynamite. So they've done this experiment before, and they probably have some sort of metrics to show that it works. But in this scenario, it's less metrics and it's more getting along with your coworkers. That I anticipate that blows over at one point. It would have to. You can't. You're gonna see that person at pay-per-views. You're gonna be in meetings. There's gonna be some crossover there. I don't see this being, the Bucks stay on one side for forever and Punk is on another. I see this eventually, hopefully, blowing over. I mean, that's the smart. These are all smart guys, and say what you want about CM Punk and what happened, but he's a very smart guy. He understands the business, and so are the Bucks, and so is Kenny, and so is Tony. So everybody here really understands, and this was said to me multiple times. Everybody involved understands the importance of AEW success. And, you know, you're going to have to swallow your pride at one point and think, okay, what's the smarter decision here? One, the company's interest, the company's expansion, and the future of the wrestling industry, or my beef with this guy. And it's legitimate beef. I mean, listen, do I want to be around someone that punched me in the face or hit me with a chair or whatever the alleged incident was? No, I don't. But there's always room for forgiveness, except for Joel. I'll never forget him. I'll never forgive him and forget him.
Listen, just because I paid an old man to bring you a potato on a Subway doesn't mean we're
goddamn potato. That goddamn potato ruined everything. That caused every. Oh, the debacle of 2020. It was the potato.
Yep, that does it. Jeremy, what else you got?
If you've got 52 million, if you're getting 52 million out of this, I feel like, yeah, you can forgive that potato incident and, you know, potato incident here, potato incident there. 52 million is going to change it. I know you got to run, Zarian, so I'm going to let you plug and
I got 4 minutes.
Okay, well, I got to make sure this gets asked because I feel like it's way more important than any type of wrestling question.
Yeah, sure.
What is one activity you would like to do after taking an edible?
Definitely not mowing the lawn. That was a big mistake. I made a joke about how I ended up in the park. I actually decided that I was going to mow everybody's lawn, like in my neighborhood, like my neighbors. I have a lot of older neighbors, so I just took the lawnmower. I'm just mowing down the block. I'm doing all the sidewalks, and the next thing I realized, like I kind of woke up from this daze that I was in. I was like, where the hell am I? I'm like 2 blocks down. I'm mowing some stranger's lawn. So. I think I watched too many of those YouTube videos where they're like, "Hey, I'll mow your lawn for free." Definitely not mowing the lawn.
I can't even make that better. That's great.
Yeah, that true story, dude. True story. I also do the same thing with the snowblower. I'm like, I gotta go shovel the snow. I better pop an edible. And I just start going, and I'm like, the whole block is done. The whole sanitation department comes. They're like, oh, it's already finished. The whole neighborhood.
Is wrestling better or worse on an edible?
I got to tell you, it's watching it live way better in person. Watching it on TV, I think it's the most idiotic thing in the world. It ruins it for me. I can't watch it if I'm like, enjoying. I end up seeing I'm like, oh, this is insane. What am I doing? What is happening here? But going to a live event, a blast.
If there's one thing I know about Andrew Zarian, it's that insanity is very much in the cards when you're around.
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, I was gonna get Andrew out of here. I know he's got to run. He's got his own show to do at 10:30, and we appreciate him popping on our show for 20 minutes here before he does that. Andrew, let everybody know where they can find you at.
Madman Podcast on YouTube, Madman Podcast on Twitter, Andrew Zarian on Twitter. I posted the link. I'll be going live in about 12 minutes. And,
yeah, watch the replay. Stay here, everybody. Watch the replay.
Yeah, watch the replay. Keep watching Joel and Jeremy.
He gave all the info here, so you don't need to.
You know, I got a big Bill Goldberg update.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I'm joking. No, I don't.
We'll bring Sean on. We'll get Sean in here, and we'll just tease a bunch of stuff with Sean.
It's gonna be Scoop Wars on Friday morning.
Yes. I'm done with the scoops. This was it for today.
That's right. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. I had a blast. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Andrew Zarian from Madman Podcast.
Great man.
He's always fun. He's been so good to me on so many levels. I appreciate him jumping on.
That's the one thing I don't like about him.
That's fair. Do you know that he led me through traffic to go to the first Arthur Ashe show?
But you were just lost in New York? You like Macaulay Culkin?
It was our pal Jiminica and I were going to the show together, and we were meeting up with Rich and Andrew from Madman. And to get there, it was like a bunch of us. There was probably about 7 or 8 of us going together, meeting up, had a couple of drinks, and then went to the show. And like they walked us through construction and walked us like on the road of a very busy roadway. Like there were no sidewalks, and they're just walking us through like it's totally fine. I guess welcome to New York. And I've been there a million times. Like, what is this?
They're used to it, you're used to that Canadian privilege, and Jiminique is from California, so Yeah, they don't walk in California. They just sit in traffic. Yeah, sit in traffic for 20 hours. That's what they do in California. Shout out to Andrew Zarian. Good kid, by the way. Joel, you messaged me like just before the show. I was like, should I just ask Zarian to come on? I was like, yeah, sure. Can't hurt. I can tell you all the time with this stuff. Just send out messages. You never know who's going to say yes to some of this stuff. So appreciate Andrew Zarian popping on when he really didn't have to, considering he's about to do his own show.
So I guess we got to talk about CM Punk now.
A little bit. Yeah, we do have, real quick, let's set this up. 10:30, Haley and Kiley from Tag Talk are going to be on. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about CM Punk, but we're largely going to talk about Elite, Blackpool Combat Club, Hangman Page's contract status, which I think might tie in a little bit to Punk, same with Bucks and Omega, their contract status. So Haley and Kiley from Tag Talk will be joining us at 10:30. And usually we wrap this show at noon. That's been the plan all the time, is to wrap the show at noon. But Josh Bishop was from AIW. He was free at noon, could do an interview at noon. So like, you know what, we will extend this episode a little bit longer today. So Josh Bishop from AIW, he's facing Matt Cardona for the AIW Intense title this weekend, and he'll be joining us on the show at noon.
Looking forward to that conversation. He's got a really fun match coming up at AIW with Matt Cardona, and he's going to have Steph DeLander in his corner and ECW manager, legend to the stars, Fonzie. That's a wild match. You're gonna want to stick around, because Josh Bishop is going to talk about that match. He's going to talk a lot about what's been going on in his life lately, because he's certainly without a few stories to tell. So we're looking forward to it. So CM Punk, speaking of guys with stories to tell, what we're reading was Dave reporting this morning that, as you kind of alluded to with Andrew, was that this deal for AEW Collision almost, hindered on whether or not CM Punk would come back, that they almost wouldn't do the deal for this TV show unless they had CM Punk. I have so many feelings about this, and it's such a weird story because of the way a lot of it's played out publicly, but also played out privately. We haven't been able to get many details, but we've been able to get whispers, and because of the whispers, they become louder details. How are you feeling going into this whole thing with Collision on the verge of being announced, the CM Punk news? How are we?
I mean, I've said it from the start, is that sometimes an apology doesn't have to be forgiven. I don't know how the Bucks feel about this. The Bucks have been very silent when it comes to this stuff. Omega said a little bit of mainly big picture, it's about wrestling, you don't need to take sides type of thing. And this was right after they returned. He did the interview, I believe it was Sports Illustrated. So Omega said a little bit about it. The Bucks haven't said anything about this situation. All Access, they don't touch on it. It's just yeah, we were gone and now we're kind of back, and we're not really gonna say anything. It does feel like there's still some hurt on the Bucks side, and I completely get why. That is who got the chair thrown at them, got punched. I understand why there might be a little bit more hurt on that side. It seems like money, it could be a pretty big factor here of CM Punk. One, you're either paying him to sit at home and do nothing, and then you're hurting yourself in that. Or now, if wait, we can get an extra reported $52 million out if we bring CM Punk back and get this new deal, ooh, we might have to take that. There's no denying, you look at the numbers, the figures, the ratings are down year to year. From last year at this point to this year, ratings are down. Do I think this is all CM Punk? No. A lot has changed in AEW. They're obviously up against the playoffs and things like that. But if you're Team Punk, you look at this and be like, I'm not there. What's going on? There's no denying he is a draw in this regard. So there's a lot to take in with this, and I think it'll work for a little bit. Long term, it's gonna be it. I think there's some challenges there, and we've touched on the challenges when it comes to like booking and management and things like that. And by management, I mean like ego management and personal problem management and things like that. There's going to be some challenges there, and I don't know how much of it is truly settled.
Reportedly, there haven't been many conversations between Punk and members of the Elite, specifically the Young Bucks, but that's been mostly because both sides have been told to like stay away from each other legally. Just don't engage, don't talk. That will eventually have to change, especially as they all start working together again. They will eventually have to share a building, not necessarily a locker room, but certainly a building for a pay-per-view, as so many have mentioned, that they're gonna have to get together and chat. And you know, back in the old days, it used to be that, you know, you get a bottle of something and you talk it out, or you swing fists and whatever. I'm not advocating for the old days, believe me. But I'm trying to say is that eventually they're going to have to sit down and talk about it. And I also understand that there is a certain amount of, I think trauma is a very loaded word in this case, but there's a lot of drama. Maybe trauma we'll save for a different conversation. But there was a lot of drama in how this all unfolded to begin with. You know, I don't know how willing I would be to talk to someone who got into that heavy of a fight with me if the reports are accurate as to how this thing went down at Brawl Out. There's a lot on the table and a lot of things that need to be settled between CM Punk, the Young Bucks, with Kenny Omega. To a certain degree, I know Ace Steel isn't working there anymore, but he is part of this whole process as well. He was involved. There should be at least something, you know, some sort of him in the room, or at least him, just something. I feel like everyone involved needs some sort of absolution, I guess.
It's not only like the reported fight aspect of all of this. Punk said some stuff during that press conference, and what has been mitigated there of what he said about, you know, the comments towards the Elite and managing targets, the comments towards Hangman and things like that, like nearly screwing up the first $1 million gate. He's trying to run a business and everything. These are guys, and I said this before Punk did his all-out rant and everything. I said this the day Punk came into AEW. How do these talents feel about CM Punk coming in there? It was obviously happy-go-lucky when he first came in because, of course, things are good. But how do they feel about him coming in when he didn't want to initially join the company? Tony Khan wanted him from the start, and he didn't want to go in from the start. And I understand his reservations, like, oh, a millionaire, billionaire who wants to start a wrestling company. Heard this before. He didn't jump in on board. These other guys took the risk and did that. Oh, we went through a pandemic. Like we pulled through this entire pandemic without you. Now you want to come in when we're back in front of live crowds and stuff, and you want to act like you've built something here. And it's like, oh, we were the ones who started all of this. And not only do you want to like act like you built something, like, oh, now you want the world title. Although, you know, according to some people, he didn't actually want the world title. It's like, oh, now you want to be the face of the company and you want the big spots and everything. Like, how do they feel about all this? And I think some of his comments in that press conference like rubbed the wrong way off of that too. It's like, wait, no, we were here from the start. Like, we were the ones running this business, like not you. But is he part of running the business? That was a big speculation, you know, when Punk said, I'm trying to run a business. Does he have some type of like backstage office type of role? Kate mentions it. Like, I want to know what Punk's backstage role is. Like, does he have some type of official, unofficial title?
So that to me always felt like a misspeak. And I totally hear anyone who's like, what was his role backstage? Because yeah, listen, he said, I'm trying to run a business. To me, I always read that as the business of CM Punk.
Me too.
You know, and I think you and I have even kind of spoken about that on other shows so many months ago and so many CM Punk conversations ago. But the point being here that, you know, it was always Punk trying to run the Punk business in AEW. He would have said the same thing wherever he went if he had the same, you know, same thing happening. The banner didn't matter. It was the CM Punk business. So to me, that's what it was. If it turns out that, yeah, he was working with a contract to be a talent scout or producer or whatever you want to call them backstage, then yeah, that totally changes the conversation. Going back to the Collision talk, Cyclops is better than Logan drops us some bits over at twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming, where we absolutely do stream all of our shows. So come and join us and drop some bits. It says, I still don't understand how the bosses see Rampage Fridays ratings and think to themselves a Saturday show is a good idea. To me, Jeremy, Rampage has been more of a, I think Will Washington hit it on the head. It's been more like Sunday Night Heat than it's been anything else when you compare it to shows that are, you know, well known. It's not WCW Saturday Night because that was very low, but Sunday Night Heat, even especially before a pay-per-view, it was a thing. It was a happening. Rampage never was supposed to be, as far as I understood it, this like A-tier show. I know they plugged it that way, but Tony also plugs every match as like the best match to ever happen ever in the history of all mankind. You know, God bless the guy he's promoting. But to me, it always felt like you're doing 1 hour at 10 o'clock on a Friday night. It was never felt to be the biggest show they've got. That was Dynamite. It was the flagship. Now you're adding Collision, and that is a Saturday night. Yeah, it's Saturday, but it's a Saturday night primetime 8 to 10 slot, reportedly that time-ish, whatever. That's a big deal. There is a huge opportunity there.
I think with Rampage, I don't know if it was supposed to be AA tier like Dynamite is and was, but he definitely had hopes for it to right off the. I mean, that's where they did the CM Punk return. That's where they did CM Punk's first televised match as well in AEW. It's his first TV match since he left WWE and everything like that. Rampage was supposed to be a little bit more than what it's become. And like it had the stars and stuff on the show. And then it just stopped being that. The injuries played a factor in that. Tony's mentioned that, like when everybody kind of got hurt, it's like, oh, well, you know, we can't use Chris Jericho twice. We can't use Jon Moxley twice type of thing. And then it just became what it's sort of become. It's like almost throwaway matches that are good, and there's some storyline advancement and stuff. But if you miss it week to week, sometimes it's not the biggest loss in the world. Collision is definitely going to be a top tier show. Was that the original idea? Zarian kind of mentioned it. Is like, I don't know if that was the original idea. And when it was first brought up, it doesn't seem like that was going to be the original idea of like, okay, why are you adding another 2-hour show? Like, oh yeah, if it's just another 1 hour show, more talent, more opportunity, like sure, get that and everything. But now it seems like it's going to be one of those A-tier shows, and this is going to go into, okay, well, how do you split the rosters? And, you know, does one show feel more important than the other? If you split the rosters, what do you do with the titles? A lot of unanswered questions on all of this, really.
Well, you know what? We talk about All Elite Wrestling a lot, but we have two people here who also talk about it quite often here on Fightful Overbooked. From the show Tag Talk that drops every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we have Kiley and we have Haley. Hello, how are y'all doing?
Good morning. I've had a better morning than Haley has, but
oh no.
Do we dare get in the weeds on your morning, or are we just going to talk about it?
How good?
I got chased by a bee. It's like right before this. It's okay. I'm ready to chat. It's gonna make my day better.
Well, thank y'all for joining us. This has been a banner morning and a very interesting week for AEW. I think initially, we were going to talk, and we're going to talk about BCC and the Elite, because I know that's a story that's very close to both of you, and I know you guys talk about it a lot, both online and on your show. But since we're on the CM Punk talk, and since we're talking about Collision, I want to ask you both. First, Kiley, Collision's coming. It's another show that AEW is going to put out. Is it something that excites you? Is it something that you're like, oh my God, it's just another 2 hours of TV to watch? How are you feeling about another potential 2 hours of AEW programming?
I'm excited about it if it's more like Dynamite and less like Rampage. If they treat it like it's something that matters, which it's going to be a 2 hour show, it's in a decent time slot, it's probably going to have CM Punk. I think they are going to put attention to it. But if it's just another Rampage where we just get minor stories or, little pieces from Dynamite, then I'm not that into it. I think AEW has a lot of shows, and Dark and Dark Elevation are their own thing. They serve their own purpose. That's that. But Rampage, I think, started off hot and really fizzled out. And now I'm worried that Collision is going to be the same thing, where we're going to have a couple months that are really, really great. You're going to have good matches, good stories. And then it's just going to be where we put everything that can't fit on Dynamite. But I'm never going to say no to more AEW TV.
Haley, I'll ask the same question, but I also want to add on with the potential return of CM Punk. Is it something that drives you to want to watch more AEW TV, or is it just kind of there and that's good enough? Like, how are you feeling about that?
Huh.
Yeah, that's right. I want to ask these questions to y'all specifically.
I feel I'm I'm conflicted because I do love Punk, and I do. If this is going to be like Punk's show or whatever, as like people are saying, like Collision's going to be his thing, I will watch just because why not? I mean, It's AEW, it's CM Punk. You know, I talk a lot of crap online, but you know I'm gonna watch it anyway. Whatever, it just is what it is. But as far as like adding more programming to AEW TV, I feel like while it kind of feels a little bit crowded, most people also aren't watching like the YouTube stuff. Most people also aren't even watching Rampage. So if you look at it that way, like it's really only like 4 hours of TV for most people, which, you know, but I'm excited regardless.
Okay. Go ahead, Joel.
I was just gonna say, I think it's interesting that like a lot of us talk to each other in this circle where we're all watching the shows, and some of us approach this with, "Oh my God, it's another 2 hours." When in reality, like a lot of people can pick and choose what they're going to watch. Not everyone's covering these shows, and I think we need to give a little more space to thinking like, Jeremy, don't give me that look. There are certain people out
Some
there.
people are covering all of these shows.
But unfortunately, they're a very strong and loud minority. So at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, listen, maybe I'm going to watch SmackDown, maybe I'm going to watch Dynamite. I'm not going to bother with Rampage. I'm not going to bother with, Darker Elevation. Or maybe I really want to watch Elevation and I'm not going to watch Monday Night Raw. Or I'm not going to, whatever it is. Like, people will pick and choose based on their fandom and what interests them. Not everyone is going to sit around and be like, oh my God, now I have to watch this. There's a lot of us who are in that boat just because we cover it. But that's like our little insular circle. But then there are review shows that cover for those who aren't watching. Jeremy, go ahead. And then we'll hit some super chats.
The contract stuff. So Hangman Page is reportedly about to negotiate an extension. We know that the Bucks and Omega, their contracts could be up soon. The news that Punk is coming back, do you feel better or worse about where the Elite stands with AEW? And everyone's going to say, oh, of course they're going to say Cody left. All right, Cody left. So yes, reportedly. They are reportedly, Sean. Hangman Page has not come out and said, I confirm that I'm negotiating an extension. Where do you think things stand with the Elite, with the news that Punk is coming back and their possibility that they could leave AEW? Start with Haley.
So for me, when the news first struck, I was like, oh, they're definitely not going to resign, especially because like they had entered talks about it or whatever, but like hadn't heard anything past that. And I was like, oh, there's not going to be a resigning. But now that Hangman is negotiating an extension, I am a little bit more at ease about it. Like I do think that they'll probably stay. I don't know. I'm still a little on the fence, but I hope they stay. I think that they will.
I think a lot of things, but especially I think the Elite have proven since coming back from their suspension that they are invaluable to AEW. I think they are worth more than just a title of an EVP or a title of like a main event level talent. I think they bring a creativity and a storytelling element that the fans of AEW really appreciate because they're the ones who started this whole thing. And so when I think about the Elite, Hangman as well, but specifically Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, when I think about them negotiating, I think they're in a really great place. And I'm not entirely sure WWE or New Japan can offer them something that AEW can't. I don't think if Tony Khan was amenable to it, I don't think he would force the Elite to work with CM Punk if that was an issue. I mean, he could probably try, but I don't think he would do it. Same thing for CM Punk. I don't think he would force them to work with the Elite. And Hangman, I think people forget just how young Hangman Page is. I think people, because the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are getting older and they're, approaching 40 and they're going to be there sooner than later. Hangman isn't. Hangman is much younger. So there's a lot of upside to Hangman. And I don't think AEW thinks that he's, dispensable. I think they're going to make every effort to re-sign Hangman Page. He's a world champion. He's probably going to get there eventually again. He's, of course, part of the Elite story, which has, taken over AEW TV the last few months. But I think Hangman just embodies AEW, so I fully expect that he'll get basically anything he wants. I don't think the CM Punk thing is as big of an issue as people are making it out to be. I think at the end of the day, all of these guys have worked with people they don't like, that they don't want to work with, and you move on. It's the same thing for all wrestlers. The CM Punk thing is not an anomaly in wrestling.
Yeah, but how many of them have bitten your arm?
Listen, I don't know how many biters are in the locker room. I don't know how many people are just waiting with their pompers, just waiting. I don't know. I've never been in there, but
I feel like that's a conversation for another time.
Wrestlers gotta have like strong jaws and stuff. They take a lot of shots to the jaws, so I would imagine all of them could do some chomping if they wanted to there.
Yeah, so
they got free dentist in the locker room as well. So like they may be a little less worried about like, you know what, if I screw up my teeth, just go over to Britt over here, get work done for free.
You know, I think the big tell for Hangman if he signs is if he comes out with a ginormous bag of cheese puffs 1 week. That is absolutely it. He's gonna be like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm in a great mood. Everyone's happy. And what's going on, guys? And everyone else is gonna be like upset about whatever's going on with Blackpool Combat Club. And then Hangman's just gonna be chowing down on cheese puffs, just happy as a pig. And you know what? Let's hit these super chats and then we'll continue the conversation and get into Elite and BCC. Kate kicks us off saying, "Here for the young babes, LFG." Hey, listen, these two are wonderful. Go watch their show Tag Talk on Mondays on Fightful Overbooked. If you're not watching it, you're missing out, okay? And then Diver Digital has a super chat saying, "Is it weird AEW just doesn't put half of their roster on TV? This is how they can showcase talent. Pillman, Sonny Kiss, AR Fox, Bandito, the list goes on." So are we kind of in agreement here, and I'll start with Haley, that this is Collision is potentially an opportunity to showcase more of their talent, or could we be stuck being pigeonholed to seeing the same talent twice a week or more than twice a week because of whatever booking is or isn't there?
No, I definitely think that it's going to open an opportunity for more stories and more talent to get on TV, especially the women. Yeah, I don't think. Well, at least I hope that it's not going to be a continuation, because that already kind of happens on Rampage anyway. So I hope Collision is just kind of its own like new thing, and we just get like new stories.
Kylie, what are we doing? Who do we showcase on Collision? Or is this actually, are we going to see some sort of split team draft? Not a draft, but you know what I mean? A split crew on Collision and Dynamite? How do you feel about this reporting about a split crew?
I think it would be a good idea for AEW, maybe not a hard, brand split, but maybe a soft one, just because there are a lot of people who don't get on Dynamite, and Dynamite is already a jam-packed show. It's paced so fast. And, the only person who really gets to take their time nowadays is MJF, and he gets musical numbers and long promos and all these things. But everybody else, it definitely just feel like, I would say in the last year especially, Dynamite is very rushed, trying to get everybody on their time, trying to keep up with stories. And a lot of people fall through the cracks. And I think the issue with Dynamite is a lot of stories are introduced and then we forget about them for a few weeks, and then they're brought back and then we forget about them. And then all of a sudden it's a pay-per-view and the match is like on the pre-show. So I don't think a hard brand split would work for AEW, just because the nature of the company and the pay-per-views and the stories that they choose to tell in their pay-per-view cycles. But I do think having a place where you could, if a story starts on Dynamite and finishes on Collision, I think that's fine. You could have exclusive stories on either brand. But at the end of the day, if Collision doesn't showcase talent that have been sort of forgotten about on Dynamite, sort of the way Rampage doesn't do that, I think Collision is just going to follow the same path of Rampage. People aren't going to watch because it's Saturday. If I'm giving up my Saturday night for something, I want it to be different from what I'm getting on Wednesday.
Jeremy, I'm still curious. I know we've talked about this potential brand split thing. And then Andrew Zarian earlier on the show was talking about how maybe it's not going to be so much that one crew stays on one show and one crew stays on the other. The idea that we move the crews around, which to me is a good idea. The reason why I'm a little nervous about the storytelling is whether or not we are going to keep up with these stories. I think that's something that, as we kind of roll into our conversation about Dynamite this week, catching up on stories that may have been dropped a couple of weeks ago isn't always AEW's strongest point. And on top of that, there seems to be this mentality that it's okay to have fan accounts tell the stories or pick up the stories for AEW, which, again, going back to the larger fan base, isn't exactly super duper helpful. I'm curious, Jeremy, about your feelings towards doing a brand split while telling stories, or doing a show split, we'll call it, while telling these stories and trying to keep up with those things.
I think we're all missing the point here that AEW Dynamite, AEW Rampage, and soon to be AEW Collision will all be connected just fine, because it means more Jay Lethal on television, and we will just keep things rolling that way. That's how it's all going to be connected, Joel. It's fine. It'll be good. Let's get into Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite. Let's talk about what's actually going on television here. So we had on Wednesday, Elite came out. They're ready to confront Blackpool. Then wife just messages like, no more Jay Lethal. They come out. They're ready to confront Blackpool. Bryan Danielson, the GOAT, is on the screen. He's like, you amateurs, we're not doing that. Blackpool attacks from behind. Danielson then makes his way to ringside. He's ready to gouge out Kenny Omega's eyes. Callis initially runs down, cowers away, comes back out with Takeshita. Takeshita comes out, makes the save, stands between Danielson and Omega. They run off Blackpool. Takeshita and Danielson do not touch. I think this is a very important beat of this story. They do not touch after kind of helping Takeshita helping Danielson with the MJF stuff. Omega looking a little confused here with Takeshita coming out and saving. Where do we think all of this is going, and what do you think of this segment on Wednesday, Kylie?
I loved this, and I had said on Tag Talk last Monday that I feel like AEW really needs to start making progress in their stories going into Double or Nothing, because it's like we get a beat down or a run in or something like that, but all of the storytelling is happening on Being the Elite, basically, especially with the story. So I really appreciated that we got some momentum, especially with Danielson and Takeshita. And I think it's really interesting that there's now sort of a divide between Kenny Omega and Don Callis, because Kenny Omega was the only one who was still supporting Don Callis. I think the Young Bucks are basically Team Hangman, because they had already made up with Hangman, especially Matt Jackson. And I think there's a lot of interesting ways they can go, because thinking back in the Elite lore, the spot Takeshita is in, sort of this infiltrator of the Elite, Kota Ibushi and Cody are the two who have really taken that spot before, but in two drastically different positions. So I'm interested to see if they just push Takeshita along one of those paths, if Takeshita sides with Don Callis and, is a spy on the inside, something along those lines. But ultimately, I think at the end, Kenny Omega is going to find himself in a rough spot. He's not going to have Takeshita or Don or the Young Bucks, and it's going to be Hangman. And that's going to be how we do it. Because I think Kenny's not going to cross the bridge, but I think he would be more receptive to Hangman if Hangman was the one to cross that gap. So,
Haley, what are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts, Haley?
So I'm kind of the opposite of Kylie, because how I am kind of envisioning the story going is, I think Don is very snaky. First of all, I do not like how he's approaching kind of Kenny and like this whole situation. Don't like it. Not a fan. But I do think that we may see Takeshita kind of siding with the BCC, and then it's going to leave Kenny in kind of like a vulnerable position. And while Kylie thinks that it's going to be Hangman, I think that it's the perfect time to bring in Ibushi, and Ibushi be the one to kind of bring Kenny back to the other side like he's done in the past.
I love the idea of Don Callis turning to Kenny Omega and being like, look at this wonderful, beautiful man. He's young, good looking. Look at him. Take him. And then Kota Ibushi being like, you son of a bitch. I don't even know where to go from there.
Okay, so you mentioned Ibushi, and I think that's a big theory, is that this is going to lead to Ibushi coming in, whether it just be for this angle, whether it be something long term. Haley, you said now that you think this does lead to Ibushi. Kylie, any world where it's like, okay, Ibushi's coming in, whether it might be to oppose Kenny or whether it be to, hey, don't trust this guy.
I think it's possible. I think because Takeshita technically earned his spot in the Blackpool Combat Club a long time ago, like last summer. Like, it's way overdue. So I think if it ends up in a situation where everybody is against Kenny, then you could bring in Ibushi and you could do a Golden Lovers reunion. But then we get in the territory where we're like rehashing Bullet Club stories. So it would have to be in a way, for me at least, that is different from the last Golden Lovers reunion. I definitely think the Young Bucks and Hangman Page are going to be reunited and do something trios wise down the line. I just don't know where Ibushi fits if Takeshita isn't part of the Blackpool Combat Club. Like, I don't see how you bring Ibushi in and have him like all this infighting and it be Ibushi's fault. Because if Ibushi comes to AEW, I think fans are going to be excited and I think he's going to be unanimously cheered. And so if he disrupts the Elite, which is like the focal point of AEW TV and AEW storytelling right now, it's going to be weird. But I would like to see Ibushi here, but then at the same time, it's like he's so crazy. I don't want him to get injured again. So like, if he could just come in and like pose and just like be in the ring and just like let me take my pictures, then I'm fine.
Is there a match that this turns into? Does this turn into Blood and Guts, or does this turn into Anarchy in the Arena? Is it Stadium Stampede? What is the ideal blow-off match for BCC and the Elite? I'll start with Kylie on this.
For the longest time, I've thought it was Blood and Guts because the numbers just are too good and it's just there. But I really wouldn't be surprised, given AEW's history with Blood and Guts, if Blood and Guts becomes a stepping stone towards an Anarchy in the Arena or a different kind of new match type, something like that. Just because this feud is so complex and AEW has wasted Blood and Guts on feuds that were like with the JAS. So I think if it blows off at Blood and Guts now, to me, it's a little anticlimactic. So I think you do have to have 2 or even 3 different matches, do maybe like a best of 3 kind of thing. But I really do think that they would introduce something new. I think Anarchy in the Arena is Jon Moxley's domain, especially with his music last time. Blood and Guts is Blood and Guts. We don't want to bring that up. That's Eddie Kingston's domain. So they need something special here.
Haley, I ask you the same question. Where does this fit? Is this or does Kylie have a point that maybe this is like we do all the matches and spread it across the next 6 to 9 months?
So for the longest time, I also thought that it was going to be a Blood and Guts scenario. But now that Kylie has said that, I think she's changed my opinion on things a little bit. And, you know, I mean, we did get a best of 7. Why not do another best of series, you know? Why not?
Hopefully not 7.
Well, no, not 7. No. No more.
Go ahead, Jeremy, and then we'll hit some super chats.
I was going to say, what's like an elite gimmick match that they can do? I mean, this ladder match sort of fits the bill. They've done that. They won that against the Death Triangle. I think of what other wacky. They got a lot of trick shot competition. They destroy. Oh. I don't know if anybody on Blackpool. I think Claudio might be able to hoop. He might be able to hoop a little bit, but otherwise they'd kill him. Some wacky ideas that the Elite could do here.
Do a killing the business match where like it's just a very weird, obscure casket match, and then we won't talk about the one that just happened at the last pay-per-view because that one just wasn't nearly as good as whatever we're about to come up with as the killing the business match. Let's get to these super chats. Jackie kicks us off saying, I'm a simple gal. I see Kylie and Haley and I super chat. Hello to Joel and Jeremy as well. Well, hello to you, Jackie. It's good to see you. And we appreciate the love. And then Diver Digital also adds in, did any of you watch the Control Center episode prior to AEW Dynamite this week? The storytelling was insane, but it was on YouTube, so nobody saw it. So again, this kind of brings up the point that I was trying to make before, that the there are other accounts trying to tell the stories, and it's not necessarily on the TV because maybe they want to pack those 2 hours with brand new content and not did you see this content. The Control Center episodes are typically really good, but they're also typically not very high views. Haley, Kiley. This happened to me on Sunday too, by the way, with this happens. Did either of you, or do either of you, watch the Control Center shows, and do you find them helpful, or is it just like this is 10 minutes thrown against the wall, just setting up the evening? I'll let either one of you just take that.
I don't watch them, mainly because I always forget they're there. Like, there's no one on TV telling me that they're there, unless it's Tony Schiavone, like under his breath, being like, "Watch AEW Control Center." When I do watch them, I'm like, wow, that's really helpful. And I think there's a lot of talent on the Control Center and like these other preview shows that they do before pay-per-views and special events and things, who they cut promos. And I think there's a lot of people who should be getting more promo time on Dynamite or Rampage to tell these stories, and they're just getting put on Control Center or the previews or whatever it is. But I don't go out of my way to watch them. Maybe I should. Maybe that's just on me. But to me, it doesn't feel like AEW thinks that Control Center is an important part of their programming. It's just like a bonus. But if I have to go to Control Center to get storytelling, then that's a problem to me. I should be able to watch Dynamite and Rampage, just those two shows, and get everything I need.
Makes sense to me. Jeremy, what's going on?
I mean, I agree. And I kind of had a similar question when it came to like being the elite. So a lot of storytelling going on there. Not everybody watches being the elite, but it's very important to the actual story. And I don't know if everybody like enjoys that. Control Center, I don't watch Control Center. I don't watch Dark and Elevation all the time, all the way through, unless there's a good match that I was like, oh, this stands out. And it seems like if you're going to use it as storytelling, you've got to put that stuff on television. The wife is messaging me and just says, what the hell is Control Center? Is this a bit? Is Control Center really a thing? And you're pretending it's real to troll me. It's a real thing. Tony Schiavone hosts it. Like it's a real thing. But yeah, not everybody watches it. And sometimes you just got to put these little segments on TV. There's good promos on Control Center. Or Road 2. Road 2 has some really good promos. And some of that stuff needs to be like on television to just help advance the story along.
30 seconds of TV is a lot, but it's not a lot when you're trying to advance a story. And that's almost something that's very, very frustrating for me about AEW, is that as much as I enjoy the matches, as much as I enjoy some of the show, I could enjoy so much more of the show because I am more of a storytelling fan. I could enjoy it a lot more if I see those 30 seconds, not on the YouTube show, but instead on the main show. So that's kind of where I stand with it. I mean, the stuff that's going on with Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite, the good news is you have all of these guys kind of getting into these feuds. At the same time, there's a lot of like creative getting sucked into this one feud. Is this a good thing for AEW because, you know, high tides raise all boats and all that stuff? Or is there a possibility that this kind of takes away from other stories that are being told in AEW? I will start with Haley and get your thoughts on that.
So I've talked about this on Tag Talk a little bit. And I do think that it is one of the bigger feuds, and, you know, a lot of fans are kind of being pulled into it. But I do feel like, you know, there are things like the House of Black being trios champions, being one of those things that I feel like is kind of falling to the wayside as this is kind of going on. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I do think that there are some things that are kind of naturally just being neglected because of this big story.
Kylie, same question.
Yeah, and I think I agree about the House of Black, and especially FTR. I feel like even though they're on TV, I feel like they just haven't had anything that isn't Jeff Jarrett, which I'm still mad about, so I'm going to move on. But I also think there's parts about the Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club that are on being the Elite that aren't on TV. So the story is even too big, apparently, for Dynamite, because on being the Elite, especially in the last few weeks, Dark Order has been part of this story. Dark Order and Hangman Page. and they're not part of the story on TV. So, especially when it comes to like Silver Reynolds, like arguing with the Young Bucks, like that to me is an important part of the story, and that could lead to a good tag match for TV, just a good, Dynamite main event or what have you. And so the fact that we've spent so much time doing beatdown angles with the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club, where Don Callis is getting beat up for some reason. And we don't have time to really address the fact that Dark Order and Hangman Page are still there. They're still like looming over the Elite and this story. That's a problem. And I do think if you just watch Dynamite, the Elite Blackpool Combat Club story is perfectly entertaining. I don't think you need to watch Being the Elite to get it. But I don't know what is sucking up so much time that Jade and Taya aren't getting, enough TV. They're on Rampage, and nobody watches Rampage. And I think the Outcast story, the Outcast versus the Homegrown Talent, that was suffering. But now I think the Jericho angle really helped them a lot. But the Ricky Starks stuff, like Ricky Starks has been suffering. So there has to be a balance here. And I don't know the answer. There's a reason why I don't book wrestling. But I do think ultimately the show is just too jam-packed. So maybe Collision will be a bonus. I don't know.
Jeremy, do you have anything to add?
No, if you want more of insight into the Elite, there's a name for everybody that they can steal from me. You watch Tag Talk Mondays 3 p.m. Eastern with Haley and Kiley, and go ahead and get the individual plugs out there as well. Thank you both for joining the show today. Haley, go ahead.
I'm horrible at this whole plug thing, but whatever. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @HaleyN_. I'm on the wrong side. I don't like this. It's like Tag Talk when I'm on Kylie's side and she's on my side.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Now it feels right.
Well, it took me a half hour to do that for you.
But you guys can follow me on Twitter at @HaleyN_. I also do the writing thing. I have a Substack you guys can check out. It's free to subscribe. It's called The Wrestling Muse. I have some pieces that I'm working on for that. I'm also working on an independent wrestling cookbook with some awesome people. It's called Eating the Indies. I don't know if it's going to have like a wide release yet. We did like a Kickstarter and stuff. So if that happens, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hold up.
Do you have...
Yeah. Is there a favorite recipe in there?
Ooh. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Casey Kirk, she has these like buffalo chicken egg rolls, and they sound really good. Let's see. Billy Starks has a good recipe. There's a lot of really good recipes in the book. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get a couple copies. So if you guys want a copy, I'll mail you.
Hey,
Yeah.
I always need an excuse to make good food. So
Do you have the Bussy biscuits? I know that's a thing.
We don't. We do have Effie signed on for a recipe. I don't know if I can talk about that completely, but we do have Effie. I don't know what the recipe is, but
I hope it's Bussy biscuits.
There.
Do you have Alley Catch
formula?
the secret formula? Do you have Alley Catch making mimosas? I hear she makes a great mimosa.
I wish we don't have Allie, but I wish we did, and now I want this mimosa recipe.
There you go. So shoot her a message. She'd be like, "Hey, heard you do a great mimosa. Let's talk about this." So, Kiley, where can everybody find you at?
You can follow me on Twitter at Fuller_Kiley. I post like everything I'm doing on Twitter, and I live tweet and do things like that. And like Jeremy said, Tag Talk is live every Monday at 3 on Fightful Overbooked. That's me and Haley. And we probably have a lot to talk about with the Elite. So make sure you tune into that next Monday. And I think that's all my plugs. Haley's a lot more busy than I am.
Thank you both. Sean says you should get Marty DeRosa to do a farty mimosa. Classing the place up with Sean. Like that went over about as well as your Black Label Pro run in, Sean.
Got him.
Thank you, Haley and Kylie, for joining. Everybody watch Tag Talk right here on this channel. Fightful Overbooked, 3 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. Thank you, ladies. We will talk to you. We'll catch you on Tag Talk. Bye, girls.
Catch Tag Talk. They're delightful.
It's the best.
I really enjoy that show. When I get a chance to listen to it, even if I'm listening on the audio form afterwards, it's still good. You know how I keep my plugs together, Jeremy? This is how I do it. I got a sticky note, and I just keep it on my desk because inevitably someone's going to ask, to plug your stuff on a show. So for me, this is to anyone who's ever doing any content out there. That's what you got to do.
Victorious tonight. Oh no! Team action. What in the world? DDT. Who is that? Someone has attacked Shazza McKenzie. What? It's Sean Ross Sapp. Sean from Fightful attacking Shazza McKenzie. I know they've had words on social media heading into the squared circle.
Am I gonna have to contact BLP and be like, please don't demonetize our video now?
He comes on and he comes to the backstage area and you just see not SRS, and then he just plays that video and leaves. That's it.
Seems bad that we allow this.
Oh man.
You lost the O on that jersey, by the way.
Yeah, because I mentioned it when he popped on the show earlier this week. The Fanatics is awful when it comes to merchandise. I was like, yeah, that's probably why it's so wrong, because it's a Fanatics jersey and they don't do good work. They do not. Yeah, Fanatics sucks. It's terrible.
There's a reason why I'm not buying much anything sports memorabilia these days.
I got
jerseys.
Yeah, same. I don't buy like many jerseys at all. Like the jerseys that I have are probably just the jerseys that I'm always gonna have. I got super lucky with my 2022 Stanley Cup champion gear. Like everything came out good. My shirt and my hat came out good from there. Maybe I should look at it a little bit closer and maybe something's wrong. But yeah, their jerseys are just bad. They're terrible.
So we have a lot of time now until Josh Bishop joins us at noon to talk about his match at AIW with Matt Cardona. And I want to keep talking about AEW. I want to keep talking about Dynamite. I kind of mentioned to you that I definitely want to touch on the TNT title debacle, because holy hell, yes, at noon. Probably shouldn't have told Sean that it's happening at noon. So Wardlow is the new TNT champion. Wardlow, who was the new TNT champion and then lost it for 2 weeks to Powerhouse Hobbs in a new partnership with QT Marshall, setting up QTV, where he wasn't even a part of it after week number 1 on, the video. Goes out, has a rematch with Wardlow, who came back last week to Dynamite. He wins the match. Wardlow is the, once again, AEW TNT champion. This championship was really good for a long time, and now it has become how do I put this kindly? It has become the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships of AEW, in that it is the hot potato title, Jeremy Lambert. It is not booked well. It is booked confusingly. And every time someone says we're back to square one, I feel like they just figure out a way to make square one something completely different and utterly insane. What are we doing in the TNT title reign? Because this was at one time a stepping stone title to the AEW World Championship. Now we're nowhere. The International Championship is considered a more prestigious title, and it's getting almost weekly defenses by Orange Cassidy in matches that are very highly regarded, because he gets to, first of all, Orange Cassidy is a great wrestler, and also he gets to work with people who are also equally great wrestlers, and they put on good matches. What the hell's going on, Jeremy Lambert?
I think there's 2 political hits taking place here. The first one is TBS, the home of AEW Dynamite, is not happy that the TNT title is being defended on their program. And so TBS, whoever's running TBS, who is completely separate from TNT, they are like, no, we need to devalue this TNT title because we don't want this on our programming. Where's our TBS title? Jay and Taya have been doing stuff on Rampage.
TNT.
Yeah. their match is taking place on Dynamite next week, so hopefully they got a video package to like really catch everybody up on that. But TBS is trying to devalue the TNT title. That's the first political hit. The second political hit is that the TNT title was the Cody Rhodes title, and AEW is trying to devalue the title that Cody Rhodes so helped establish. That's the second political hit going on here. And look, in all honesty, it seems like every single time they put the belt on someone new, whether it was Wardlow's previous run, and then Samoa Joe, and then Hobbs, and then Wardlow, and then Hobbs, and then Wardlow, and then Hobbs, and Wardlow again. I've lost track of just all the different title changes. Basically, since like Sammy won that ladder match over a year ago over Cody in Cody's last AEW match, it hasn't felt all that special. It hasn't felt all that big. I don't remember anything from Sammy's run, anything like that. I mean, Scorpio Sky got the title for a little bit. That happened, right? And then Sammy got it back. It seemed like, Wardlow's going to get it after he got it from Scorpio Sky. That actually is the lineage of the title. It seemed like, Wardlow's got it. This is going to be great. And then it wasn't. And Wardlow talked about, I want to do the open challenge. I want to do the open challenge type thing. And then they never really took off with that. And then again, Joe, Hobbs, Wardlow again. It just they've never found a foothold with it. And it seems like the only idea people like have with the title is like, I want to do an open challenge with the title. But now the international title has kind of replaced that of like, hey, let's just do cool matches with Orange Cassidy. There's not always story with these Orange Cassidy matches. Just like, hey, Orange Cassidy is just going to face this awesome guy on this show. And so you can only do but so many open challenge type things. I'm sure Wardlow's going to do interviews where he's like, I want to bring the prestige back to the TNT title, and I want to do the open challenges again. I want to make it mean something again. And look, I'm sure he does. Does that mean it's going to happen? I don't know, because they need to actually put some story behind the title instead of just, like you said, Hapate doing it the whole time. Arn Anderson is now in the mix. I think that does help Wardlow. I think Arn is a valuable piece to kind of the Wardlow character and trying to further him along, because they lost the winning streak. Once they lost that, it's like, all right, well, you can't do, obviously that's no longer part of his gimmick anymore. I think Arn is a very credible mouthpiece for him. And I don't even think Wardlow's a bad talker. I just think that they don't show Wardlow how, like, we see Wardlow in interviews, right? Like, you've interviewed Wardlow. Comes across very well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, my conversation with Wardlow was delightful. I didn't know what to expect because I was just like, I know you from TV. I've seen a couple of interviews and been like, yeah, okay, I kind of get it. But, like, we had a really nice chat, and on and off camera, he is just a really good, nice, smart dude who could really, like, please you and be like he speaks very, very well. He's very eloquent, and he's a very very nice guy and a very pleasing dude.
This time, please the ward hose.
He does.
Pleasing the ward hose.
I'm glad you went there. He's a good looking guy, so clearly there is some sort of you know what, he could please me if he really wanted to. I wouldn't see it. It's fine.
What?
I don't know. Listen, we're off the rails here. We do this.
How would you like Wardlow to please you, Joel Pearl?
Financially.
Oh, all right. That's a cop-out answer.
Listen, we're in the weeds here. So I love it, people in the chat. Yeah.
Joel wants to have sex with him.
Someone's going to clip this. It's game over. Okay. So here's what I want to do with the TNT Championship, Jeremy. I want to make it the Meaty Men Championship. You're on the right path. You got Wardlow. You got Powerhouse Hobbs. Let's add in Brody King. Let's add in the Butcher. Let's have Dax challenge just 1 week. There are some meaty men who could be, like, even Billy Gunn, who is just deceptively large, would look good going for that title. Evil Uno, I'm just going through the roster page. Evil Uno is a good idea. Jake Hager could have a match. Like, there are Josh Woods, for Christ's sake, is another one. This could be the meaty championship of AEW. Keith Lee, you want to give Keith Lee something to do? There's your guy. You know, Luchasaurus is up next, according to what we saw after the big win. Is another big, tall.
You're missing the biggest, meatiest man of them all,
Luther.
Pearl. I mean, Luther. Well, no, the meat man, John Silver. John Silver in there with these guys.
You know what?
Great.
You know what though? That would be funny, because not just funny but entertaining, because A, John Silver is a great wrestler, and two, he's a big meaty dude, but he's not nearly as tall as everyone I'm talking about. So he will be the guy that like everyone undercuts until he has a very serviceable match or a great match that gets him over, and maybe he doesn't win, but at least he looks good in the defeats. Mark Henry could do it too. Miro, you bring back Miro. Nick Camarado, for Christ's sake. Love Nick Camarado.
They do got a lot of meaty boys. Where's the Go-Go Ben? He could step in there.
You know what? Like Joe, have him lose the title, the world TV title in ROH. Have him come back for that TNT title. Just don't give it to him again, because he'll just drop it a week later anyway. But the point I'm really Satnam Singh, for Christ's sake, I'm going to stop looking at the roster page. Point is, there's so much potential.
So much meat.
There really is. There's a lot more than I thought there would be. That like I'm working myself into a shoot, because this could work. This could be the meaty title. Make this the meaty title. Make it like the TNT title sponsored by Hardee's, or I don't know, it's Carl's Jr.
No, Arby's, you idiots. They have the meats. It's literally in the tagline. It's Arby's.
Good point. Waffle
right
House.
There. Waffle House.
Anyway,
they have the meats.
They do have the meat. So
what's your favorite kind of meat, Joe Pearl?
I'm a big fan of turkey.
Really? Turkey?
I do like turkey. I like a good chicken breast, a well seasoned one, or even a chicken thigh.
Yeah.
What about you?
I like chicken. Big fan of the chicken.
Big fan of chicken. With the steamed chicken and the steamed broccoli. With some rice.
I like fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get some after the show.
Good
You want to get some fried chicken after the show?
Yeah, let's go get some fried chicken after the show.
Sounds good. Just it's just like a $500 return flight. I'm sure you can make it in time.
All right, what do we think of the TNT title actually being on TNT when Collision starts? We discussed it a little bit last week, but we don't know what they're going to do with the world title, if the champion's going to be floating, if they're going to create another world title. Like putting the TNT title on Collision, Wardlow seems to have a good relationship with Punk. If Collision's going to be the Punk show, Hobbs, we know, has a good relationship with Punk. Like, so you put the TNT title on Collision and you really establish that as the top title on that show.
So I'm much more married to the idea of having the A team and the A1 team splitting just appearances and not shows.
Okay.
Now that we started talking about it, I think that makes a lot more sense, especially the way that they tape things. If you're taping Rampage after Dynamite, well, then your Collision stars are never going to be on Rampage, I should say. So, and then what's gonna come after Collision? You're gonna tape Ring of Honor. You're gonna tape Dark Elevation. Like whatever it is, there's like you need to find a way to make sure that you still shuffle these shows around and who's on these shows. I just think it's gonna be different teams, kind of like WWF house shows back in the day, but different expectations, because you'd have Punk on one, you'd have the Elite on the other. You basically have your anchor teams doing the shows, but they would change from week to week, and it would also kind of keep things fresh. Because if I'm going to see Punk on Collision all the time, well, maybe I just don't want to watch Punk on Collision. Maybe I want to watch Dynamite. Maybe I want to see Punk on Dynamite. You put him on Dynamite one week, and then the Elite go to Collision. Like, I think it's more of a travel thing than it is a split brand thing. So what do you do? Sorry, I was going to say, what do you do with the titles? You still float them, because at that point, it's just about who's working on whose team.
Is that going to mess things up for like fans though, of like, oh, I'm used to turning into Saturdays to see CM Punk. Oh, now I got to watch Wednesdays. And not only like the television fans, but the fans who like want to buy tickets to this stuff. If I'm buying tickets in advance and I'm buying Saturday, Collision's coming to my town. Yeah, that's what I want to go see. I want to go see Collision because I think CM Punk is going to be on that show. But then it's not. That's an Elite week or something. Like, is that going to mess things up for fans? Because I assume in the advertising that, they do the poster with the 500 wrestlers on the posters. They do the posters, I assume, based on whatever the poster is, like, oh, okay, what you're getting this week. Typically, they like to stick to whoever they put on the poster, that's who they're going to be advertised. But is that going to mess things up for fans if you think, oh, I'm going to get this? Because when you buy like Dynamite tickets, you don't necessarily know who's going to show up week to week. You don't know sort of what matches you're going to get week to week. WWE, you know, for the most part, who you're getting every single week. Maybe you get lucky with a Roman appearance or a Brock appearance or something. But if you're going to Raw, you generally know who you're getting when you're going to Raw. You buy a ticket to Dynamite 4 weeks out. It's like, you don't know what you're going to get on that show.
And that's the thing, right? This is WWE has been doing this for several years now, that it's not about the wrestlers you're going to see. It's about the brand you're going to watch. And for better or worse, you know, people have their favorites, but at the end of the day, you're going because you're going to see live Raw or live SmackDown or whatever show you're going to see. You're going to see a WWE show, and that's big enough. The TV thing doesn't bother me as much because, you know, I can turn off my TV or watch something else. You know, you can fade in and out. But going to the show, there is more time investment. There is more financial investment. There are expectations there. That being said, some people, yeah, you're going to have to take the gamble. And just because I feel like if they announce it so far in advance that they say like, oh, CM Punk will be on this week's Collision and the Elite will be on next week's, whatever it is, Tony would just have to write around it. And that's not a huge deal when you think about telling stories on multiple A-level shows. You can still do that. So for me, it becomes less about who we're trying to satisfy in the audience. It becomes more about trying to satisfy a larger television audience that wants to see good wrestling and good storytelling week to week, and making the connections week to week. Because like I said, something that isn't always very well done on Dynamite is connecting those stories or catching you up from week to week. As frustrating as WWE can be hitting us over the head with recap packages, they're still very effective. I have friends who can just drop in pay-per-view to pay-per-view, having seen the build, the promo package, and be like, oh, okay, I get it. This is the gist of the story. There's little things here and there that like are additional crumbs in a storyline. But if you understand what the gist of it is, then you're good. And AEW, I would love them to focus more on getting those stories told week to week and catching new viewers up. I don't think it should be okay to say like, oh, Warner's really happy with 830,000 viewers on a Wednesday night show, so we move on. It should always be, we're pushing for a better product to bring more people in, to welcome more people into the tent and make them feel like they can be a part of this program without having to commit, you know, extra hours watching the shoulder content, watching BTE, watching Control Center, watching all this extra stuff, going on Twitter, trying to find someone who's like recapping all of this stuff for me. Your community should grow. It shouldn't stay stagnant. And that's kind of where my general issue with AEW is. I love a lot of what I watch on the program, but I also dislike a lot of the ways that they're trying to tell stories on the program as well.
One complaint a lot of people have had with AEW is they don't have like show long threads. It's like, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, and that's it. And then next week, maybe you see a recap, maybe you don't, but it's not always connected to each other. I thought one thing they did well on this past Wednesday was that show long thread, and we'll get into this now, of the pillars, because you get the interrupting promo to start everything with Darby, Sammy, and Jungle Boy, Jack Perry coming out, and then MJF comes out and he announces the Pillars tournament, and he's like, oh, you know what? But tonight is when this match is going to happen. You're going to get Sammy and Jungle Boy tonight. Darby Allin gets his bye. You see the backstage segment with MJF and Sammy. There was a show long thread with the Pillars. What did you think of this entire thread and how they've set everything up with them?
That is what I like. Give me a show thread and I will follow it till the end of the show. I will enjoy that. I did Day After Dynamite with Will Washington a few weeks ago, and they had done the same thing with the entire BCC Elite story, and that's when the Young Bucks have been taken out. And I made the joke at the end of the episode, or the end of Day After Dynamite. I said, this is the best episode of AEW Nitro I have ever watched. And then I had a bunch of people in the chat being like, oh, Joel hates AEW. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Nitro was lauded as like great storytelling in the mid to late 90s, and then it all went downhill. And you and I talked about that, Nitro in 99 2000, when the refreshes happened and all the garbage. We talked about that on Newsworthy, the other show we did here on Overbooked. And if you can tell a captivating story that goes from beginning of the show to the end and continues to catch me up with it at the cross hour, I'm going to stay invested. You just need to give me something to latch on to. I know that if I'm tuning in at 9 o'clock, I'm going to get caught up at what happened at 8 o'clock. If I'm tuning in at 9:45 for the main event, and the main event has implications based on what I saw earlier in the night, then I want to be told about that. I want to be caught up on that. I'm not always paying attention to commentary. Sometimes I'm working on other things or I'm doing other things while I'm watching, but I still want to be caught up visually, not just orally, AURALLY. But I like that they're taking that approach to tell a story within the show itself.
Okay, now what did you think of the Pillars story?
I don't love the story, Jeremy. But here's the thing. I like the thread. I don't give a shit about these wrestlers right now because all they're doing is bitching at each other and telling each other, oh, you suck, even though you're a pillar of this company. I deserve the title shot. I deserve the title shot. You all came out at the beginning of this whole thing and confronted MJF and said, we want a title shot. By the way, best beat for beat. You guys hit it on the nose when you all said it at the same time. I love that. And then MJF, I said this, and again, this isn't me working myself into a shoot over, they didn't take my booking idea, but the simplest booking was MJF coming out this week and saying, we're going to do a Pillars tournament. And I was like, perfect. They're all going to face each other and the most amount of wins wins. Well, no, instead it's going to be a different outcome altogether. The winner gets double or nothing. But we're all expecting this to turn into a four-way. It started as the four of them. Every single segment or some sort of interaction has included the four of them. To not do a four-way would just be asinine. It would not make sense. So why are you trying to honey dick us into saying it's going to be a one-on-one match on the pay-per-view when clearly you're going to do the four-way? So why not tell the story that the four of us would take out MJF and put in a surrogate? And I said it was going to be Shawn Spears and everyone's just going to beat Shawn Spears, but clearly that's not what we're doing. But the point is you put someone in place of MJF and then everyone beats that guy anyway. Everyone gets a point at the end of the tournament, which would have been 4 to 5 weeks instead of 2 to 3. At the end of the tournament, everyone's tied up and Tony Khan's just like, well, nothing I can do here. I guess it's going to be a four-way because Max, you're a piece of shit. And then that's it. Starting the show off this week with Jungle Boy on a promo ain't great, Jeremy. And I said this on the Impact show last night. Jody Threat had a small backstage segment. I read the chat and I laughed. Had a small backstage segment where she came to the save of somebody, and then the segment was poorly acted. No other way to say it. Love Jody Threat as a wrestler. Jody Threat is a young up-and-comer who has her first television contract. Her first on-camera talking experience is going to suck. Jack Perry, similar situation. Young guy, great wrestler, learning how to speak on his own in front of thousands of people in an arena and many more at home. He's getting it, but that segment to open the show, I wouldn't anchor with Jungle Boy. You could have done it with literally any other of the four guys. I would have done it differently. I would have started with you could start with Darby again, but then he's just rehashing everything he's talking about. Sammy, people aren't really into Sammy as much. They're just kind of like, why is he here? Get him off my TV. But he's slowly going to come around to people as we get closer to the match. I just don't know why we're wasting this much time to get to the pay-per-view and telling a story that's a very roundabout answer of a four-way.
I think when it came to the segment, none of them looked great. And I want to cheer for this person because Jungle Boy and Darby are just complaining about each other. I actually like Sammy the best out of all these people. It's wait, this is supposed to be the most hated person. Why do we like him the best out of this? They're trying to do the mixed work shoot kind of stuff. And in doing so, you're undercutting some of the babyface part of it. And there just isn't that like pure sort of baby face in this world, that especially with the pillars, that it's like, this is who I want to, it should have been Jack Perry. They tried to get a little bit of darkness to him with the Christian stuff. Oh, he had to go to that place and everything. Like fine, bring out that aggressiveness and stuff when it needs to be. But Jack Perry should be, for the most part, a pretty pure babyface. Does good, only needs to go at somebody like Christian, who has like really wronged him and everything. Darby Allin hasn't really done anything wrong to Jack Perry. He doesn't like him. It's like, oh, you're moody and you alienate people and everything. Like, do we need to bring this stuff up? Does this serve anybody? I didn't think it make Jack Perry look good, when that should probably be your pure babyface out of this. Darby, I get it. He's staying light, as people want to say. I think he offers more than just sitting up in the rafters and things like that. I think Darby, honestly, he might be the best promo out of the three of them. So I get if he is a little like trying to take shots and trying to work, shoot some stuff. Sammy, he's the heel. He can kind of get away with everything. And MJF is MJF. I don't find really any of these people all that likable after this promo. And that's an issue that I have.
And on top of it, Rudy Tooty Worky Shooty works, but it has very diminishing returns. And we're about to experience those when CM Punk comes back. Because guess what? We're about to do Rudy Tooty Worky Shooty with CM Punk and probably Chris Jericho. Certainly the Elite when we get to that, if we get to that point and things do blow over, as people have mentioned it possibly happening. It was sexy when it happened. It kept people talking when it happened. But unfortunately, it is not sustainable, because what happens when things blow up? You lose the person for 8 months, injured or not, but you lose them for 8 months, and then your ratings go with it. And then nobody wants to talk about what's going on elsewhere because everyone's so enamored with what's going on backstage. That's not what's happening here with the four pillars. No one's poised to like lose their shit and talk about it in a post-show press scrum the same way. But the point is here, like you're saying, Jeremy, nobody's likable, nobody's lovable, nobody's believable here. And Ryan in the chat saying that he thinks Sammy delivered the best promo. Yeah, out of the three of them, I think Sammy Guevara was probably the best spoken of the pillars. And then Max is doing this thing with Sammy now with the blank check, and I thought that was cute, but like it didn't go anywhere either, other than like he helped him win a match. And is that going to be
that's where it went?
Well, yeah. But is that going to turn into him doing that every time Sammy has a match? Then TK steps in and is just like, what are you doing? Like, you keep getting involved in this match. You keep causing this distraction. I'm just going to make it a match for the four of you because clearly you have a favorite in Sammy Guevara, and that's the only one you want to face. Well, you're going to get all of them because in the interest of impartiality, yada, yada, yada.
I mean, I think that is where it's going. I actually like the story. The round robin tournament thing, like I get it, but I don't need they're beating each other anyway. But I like that there is a story to it of, okay, so MJF offers Sammy the money, and the offer is, here's your blank check. I'll guarantee you a spot in this main event. All you got to do is lay down. It kind of shows that Sammy does not care about the title as much as he cares about this money, because he's saying he's going to lay down. But Sammy could be, dickish if he takes the money, he cashes that check, he gets his spot in the main event, and he still just competes in the main event. I don't think they're doing Sammy Guevara MJF singles match in the main event. That would certainly be a choice if that's where they decided to go with that. No, but MJF cost Jungle Boy the match. He was about to get back in the ring. He got hit with the diamond ring and then laid out, counted out. I imagine next week MJF cost Darby Allin the match in some shape of form there. And then, MJF and Sammy celebrate once again to go off the air next week. And then the following week, we get the grievances of, what are you doing interfering in this business? You didn't want a fair tournament. Are you afraid to face us? Whatever they got to say. And then it sets up of like, Sammy Guevara didn't actually beat them to earn this spot. He just handed this, like he was handed Chris Jericho in a spot in the inner circle and things like that. So that's how it gets set up to the four-way. I don't mind this. Like, I like that there is a story involved of this because MJF is a despicable person of like, I don't actually want to wrestle. MJF doesn't want to wrestle anybody. MJF is just like, I'll just pay it off. I'll pay to just keep my title. And there is a old story with him and Sammy. It was references a little bit when it came to Inner Circle stuff. So you know what? Actually, Sammy and MJF, great main event. There's a lot of history there between those two. Do a singles match between them. So MJF trying to pay people off. Just, you get your guaranteed main event spot. I get to keep my title. Let's move on. I don't have to face Darby. I don't have to face Jungle Boy. I can just move on. Jungle Boy gets screwed over, gets some sympathy there. Darby Allin gets screwed over, gets some sympathy there. Sammy is the one where it's like, okay, well, why don't you just want to earn your title shot instead of taking the money? But as I just said, take the money, get the spot, and then just don't lay down. Like, you just don't have to lay down. And that could be the thinking when it comes to Sammy Guevara. I don't think it's actually going to get to that point. But logically, if you want to think about it, that is one way to think about it. I actually like this. So you wanted a G1 of Sammy faces Darby, Darby faces Jungle Boy faces Sammy, and then whoever. But then it's just 1-1. Everybody's just 1-1, and then they just all get the match.
So here's what I'm getting at. And by the way, this is actually something that I like about the build, is the fact that they, before all this kind of got together, they started putting the three pillars that are not MJF. So, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. They started putting them in like statement matches. You started giving them statement wins, which were really well needed, and I appreciated that because it really does get them a little bit more elevated. The reason why I thought this tournament would work or some sort of thing is because it's just Max being like, go beat each other up for a title shot. Go beat the shit out of each other until you're of no more use to each other, and then I'm just going to pick the bones at the pay-per-view. That, because again, MJF is a despicable human being, and he is going to use whatever clout he has, whatever power he has to get these men to fight for a title shot. That's where I was. On top of this, the idea here of doing a 4-way, is that enough for a pay-per-view main event, or are we going to do Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite, or whatever that thing is as it's starting to develop? Is that the main event for Double or Nothing?
I don't think that many events, but it's definitely on the show as a booster, because the 4-way, like, to the hardcore AEW audience, the pillars and everything, like, this sounds great in theory, right? Oh, the pillars, these are the guys who first established the company. These are the guys we had all the high hopes for and stuff. In reality, yes, MJF is the champion. Jungle Boy was in a very long program tied to Christian and everything. He's a former tag team champion. The Christian stuff, it lost a little bit of steam. One, when he just lost that match in 30 seconds because Luchasaurus turned on him, and he got his revenge and everything. But that dragged for a little while with Jungle Boy, and he just hasn't really been presented as that, like, elevated guy. Sammy has always been in that spot a little bit with Jericho, and he's been the TNT champion. But for the most part, one, people just don't like Sammy. Two, his TNT title reign is not fondly remembered, and is actually remembered for more bad than good, because it almost was like the downfall of everything. So that's what hurts Sammy. Darby has definitely been up there and presented as one of the top guys, especially the TNT title. But I do think he cooled a little bit coming off the last TNT title run where Joe beat him and everything. And then he was just like off television for a little while. It just wasn't doing a whole lot. He was involved in the stuff with Sting, which was good. But he just wasn't present every single week. I just don't know if those guys are seen as on the level of like a Danielson, a Moxley, and Omega, like the Young Bucks. I don't think they're quite on that level, and they haven't been presented on that level for the majority of their AEW run. And so that's why the pillars thing just doesn't scream to me of like, this is a must-see match that is super meaningful in the history of AEW. That's why I do think you need the Elite against the Blackpool Combat Club on that pay-per-view as well, as a very strong sweetener. I see it in a similar vein of Adam Cole and Hangman when they headlined Revolution last year. It's like, yeah, it's a good match. Like, I understand why you're going for it. I will always complain that Adam Cole should not have, I know it didn't count in the rankings that no longer exist, but the match against Orange Cassidy, the lights out match, like we saw Adam Cole get pinned and then he's immediately moving into a title shot. Didn't like that. It was tough for me to like fully take Adam Cole serious in that. Like that was a good match, but it didn't feel like the pay-per-view main event. What do we put under that? Oh, we got the dog collar match between CM Punk and MJF. This feels like a big time match. I think there's way more heat on the Blackpool and Elite stuff than there is on the Pillar stuff right now. But as a unit, it's a strong 1-2 punch.
So there's a month left to tell the story of the Pillars coming after MJF. How do we do it beyond wrestling? Because matches are great, matches are nice. Having a good match is nice, but like for those of us who are all about the talky talk or want to see the story progress with words and actions, what do we do? Where does it go? How do we make it sexy? How do we build it to the point where like you may want to see BCC versus the Elites, but like where do we make it so that I want to see the world title match be the main event and deserve the main event slot at Double or Nothing?
More Sting is what you need.
And
wrong. I'm like partially joking, partially not, but the legitimate thing is like you add Sting to this and you can get some real heat on MJF, some extra heat. MJF is already like he's got plenty of heat. You can get some extra heat on that and extra sympathy for Darby if MJF just maims Sting and like really takes him out of things. And then you really get the fans even more behind Darby Allin. And I think that's the guy who they're probably looking at more than anybody else. Sammy's a heel, like he can just keep doing disgusting, despicable acts. If you want to, the heat's always going to be on MJF, right? Like that's just what it is. If you really want to continue that, you take him out on Sting. You have MJF take out Sting. Go after Ty. Go after Anna. Like he can just continue to be the most disgusting, despicable person in the world. And then they have even more reason to like, all right, we want the title and stuff, but now this man is just going after, significant others, people who are father figures. Like now we're really trying to like beat this man's ass. And it's more than just a pro wrestling thing of we want the title and you've been handed everything. You've been given all these opportunities in 20 minutes of mic time and we haven't. I
feel like it's very difficult to introduce Anna Jay to this story because she's a tag team and friends with Ty Conchi. She is a heel. Jungle Boy is definitely not. You'd have to turn Anna Jay and then introduce her.
But she's kind of turning because like our House of Black heels or baby faces, like they're not the best people in the world. And Anna Jay, but Anna Jay's feuding with Julia Hart. Like I'm with you on there's very blurred lines with Anna Jay right now. She's been brought up in promos. I mean, she's been brought up in promos in reference to Jungle Boy. We know Ty and Sammy are together and they are married. We know they're married and everything. So are people going to boo him going after Ty Conti? I think Ty Conti is likable when she's not with Sammy Guevara all the time. I think people do want to cheer. I mean, they said that on All Access, right? Like Ty was getting good babyface reactions. Like, oh, well, now I'm aligned with Sammy because I'm with Sammy. Now Ty's a big time heel and everything. I agree with you that it could be tough to introduce them into this in that way, but they've already blurred the line so much with this. And there isn't that pure person in this feud. And so why not just go after a significant other to give a little bit of babyface shine to, especially to Perry and Darby.
Yeah, it could happen. I just want to see them clearly define Anna Jay if you're going to introduce her as part of this main event story. Britt Baker was just introduced somehow into the JAS story, having the Outsiders kind of team up. And the reason why I bring this up is actually twofold. One, it shows that the couples, because Britt is slowly become a face over the last few weeks with Jamie Hayter against the Outsiders. But also, if the Outsiders start working closer with the Jericho Appreciation Society, well, then the two women who are associated with Jericho Appreciation Society can kind of sneakily move out of it and probably not be noticed as much, because the star power and just the alignment can shift in that way. And I think that would work pretty well if you wanted to bring Ty and Anna Jay into the larger main event scene.
Yeah, because Anna Jay is not an original, so, or not an outcast. Sorry, she's not an outcast, so she wouldn't be part of that outcast stable with them. Ty, I wouldn't really consider her an outcast too. She could technically, fit in that group because she did come from NXT. So if they did align with her, I could see that. I could see how it works. But they don't feel, I understand like they are part of the Jericho Appreciation Society, but they feel very disconnected from that. And that's maybe another issue with AEW, is like they do feel just disconnected from that group. We have a lot of groups in AEW, and they don't always feel connected at all times. And I think that's an issue when you do these groups. Like if you're going to do them, have the connection there with them. And it hasn't always been there. Ty and Anna certainly don't feel like it's part of the Jericho, because Anna's just like cut promos on her own now, fat ass, bad attitude, and just she's feuding with Julia Hart, House of Black. Don't scream babyface to me. So there's a lot of disconnected stuff when it comes to that. But you're right in that, okay, Jericho has now chosen the outcast, and you can just quietly continue to move Anna and Ty just away from that. It's a little bit tougher with Ty because Sammy is still part of it, but even Sammy feels disconnected from the Jericho stuff because he's doing his own thing right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, Sammy, he's not coming out in any JAS stuff. You see Hager and 2.0 coming out as Jericho guys. Like even the Titantrons that they're using, not the Titantrons, the entrance videos that they use, that is very, very different. They're no longer Jericho Appreciation Society related. Sammy's, at least, everyone else's is, and you kind of just quietly moving Sammy away. He's adjacent, but he's not connected.
Did Sammy have the Jericho Appreciation Society, the Revolutionary Force, and Sports Entertainers little intro before his music?
I don't think so. Wednesday? I don't think anyone uses that other than 2.0 now and Hager.
Jericho uses it.
No,
I don't know if Garcia does. Does he not?
Jericho comes out to Judas and Judas only.
I thought they had the little intro on there.
Unless the entire group is coming out, Jericho doesn't have a bumper, as far as I remember. But yeah, I just want to hit the super chat from Diver Digital. It says, Joel, is this why you watch so much Impact Wrestling? And then I love that right after that, they're like, whoops, I'm 30 to 50 minutes behind. I watch Impact for two reasons. One, because I'm paid to watch Impact and review for the site. There is that. But also, I do enjoy Impact Wrestling and have for a long time. Yeah, I've gone in and out of the show. Absolutely. Because there have been some dog shit times in Impact Wrestling. But I do argue that now, and really since the Anthem takeover and the Scott D'Amore takeover, it's become one of the better wrestling companies out there. I think it deserves a lot more attention. I understand why people are hesitant to give it a lot more attention, because it's burned a lot of people over the last 20 years to the point where they're just like, we don't know if this company is going to be around next week. Well, it's still going to be around now. I want people to maybe invest some more time watching Impact because it's a solid show. I don't really think last night's show was amazing, by the way. I see the chat, people are saying it was a great show. I saw it on Monday because I was there for the tapings. But other than that, it was just kind of like, it was there. It was a scheduled show. It was fine. So I watch Impact because, yeah, the storytelling is really good. But I do want to make this one connection, by the way, going back to the Pillars main event, and if that's more important than like BCC and the Elites, they're about to do the same thing in Impact, where PCO is going to face Steve Macklin for the Impact World Championship. And like, that doesn't sound like a big hooky match right now. I'm not super jazzed about PCO in the main event of an Impact Plus show. I get why they're doing it, and I'll tell you why. Go watch the post show that I did on the main channel, because I'm not going to sit here and go on about it. But I will say this: Impact will have to spend the next few weeks setting up some really big matches to hook you in for the rest of Under Siege at the end of May, because that's another show that, like, it's an Impact Plus show, but you got to want people to watch. And Macklin versus PCO is not totally the reason to watch this show, in my opinion. So that's.
I mean, they're they're killing time before I assume all this at Slammiversary.
100%. Yes. And they've got 2 months to do it. I think honestly they're gonna do this, Macklin and PCO, and then the next month at Against All Odds the show that is coming to Columbus. That's July.
Yes. Yeah.
They're probably gonna do a 3-way with PCO, Macklin, and Edward Edwards. And that is just what it is. Because Lish this week went up to Santino and was like, how can you reward him? Blah, da, 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 da. And yeah, it feels like they're going to do that.
This has been the problem. We mentioned it before. Is like getting Aldis was good because he immediately slots in to that main event picture because they've just been rehashing so many people when it comes to the main event spot. It's just, okay, here's Sabin, here's Shelley, here's PCO, here's Eddie Edwards. It's like, look, all these are fine wrestlers. I love Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. No one's gonna be like, oh, Jeremy hates Motor City Machine Guns. Absolutely not. Listen to any show that I do. I'll mute you right now, Joel Pearl. No one can ever say that about me. It's like, I don't need these guys like challenging for the world title in 20. Kazarian, another person. Bully Ray is like, I don't need these people just in that world title picture in 2023. Like, give me new challengers, give me fresh challengers on that. And they haven't been able to do it. Nick Aldis, because he's been away for so long, actually has done something else. Like that's kind of another knock that I have on Sabin, Shelley, Kazarian, all these people is like Motor City Machine Guns just continue to be awesome and do great tag team matches and stuff. Like, there was nothing wrong. Kazarian went to AEW, but like that run was what it was, especially by the end when he was the elite hunter who couldn't beat Doc Gallows. That's just, and then he was off television and stuff. Nick Aldis he went from Magnus to like really reinventing himself and really establishing NWA and really turning himself into that main event guy. So he feels much fresher coming back to Impact as this person than he was during his original run. Oh, but now it's like, okay, PCO, cool. I've seen that. I got no issues with PCO. Like, he's a cool act and everything, but this isn't who I want to see Steve Macklin wrestle, if I'm being honest, because I think Steve Macklin is great, and I would like to see him like do a great feud. And I actually think like the story stuff will be okay. The match probably won't be that bad because PCO will bump like crazy and be a madman and everything.
They've done that match before, by the way. They've done PCO and Macklin, and everyone shot on it going into the match, and then they all came out of it being like, oh no, that was great. So again, I expect the match is going to be so much fun. It's going to be a great match, but like, I agree with you. There are so many young talent, young stars in Impact that deserve the opportunity. It's more than likely going to be Trey versus Chris Sabin for the X Division Championship. For better or worse, Sabin's a 20-year Impact vet, so it gives Trey another body to add to his collection of big, meaningful wins as the X Division champion. I want to see what they do next with Gresham. I want to know what they do with Speedball. Actually, Gresham's a really interesting story because he's gone nowhere. And I feel like his contract is going to be over sooner than later. Nobody has gotten word as to how long Jonathan Gresham's contract with Impact Wrestling is. Nobody knows if it's a year, if it's 9 months, if it's 6 months. Mia Yim came in for 6 months and that was it. She was in and out. They could be doing the same with Gresham. And, when Jonathan Gresham did an interview with Nick Hausman over at House of Wrestling, he basically said, yeah, me and Tony are cool. I'd go back to Ring of Honor again. Maybe that's what's happening. Or maybe they're about to turn Jonathan Gresham and they're going to give him a big old heel tear going after, I don't know what title, because your heels are currently holding all the Ace of Base are technically faces now, but like your singles titles are held by heels. So if you turn Gresham, you got to figure out what the hell to do with them.
I was looking to see if there was any type of like contract news on Gresham. I think you're right in that
since it was announced that he signed in mid-December 2022, nobody got it out of him as to how long that contract is.
My guess is that it's at least a year. Again, complete guess on that. I don't know if they would sign guys to like, I guess they would sign people to 6-month deals. And
they did it to Mia, and they gave her the same treatment in terms of like announcing that she signed with the company.
Yeah, so that's true.
And then there are other people who have signed for longer, and then they just park them at home when things are, not happening or not going on. Not that I think that that's what's going to happen with Gresham. I think it's more likely that they sign him for, 6 to 9 months, and then they'll see where he wants to go if he wants to park himself longer. Could be wrong. It's up to Jonathan Gresham to clarify this, but that's just kind of where my brain is at. But and there's another thing too, what's his wife up to, right? She's currently, Jordan Grace is currently headed to free agency. Maybe, I'm not going to give away taping spoilers, but like, it seems like they're starting to factor her into some long-ish term plans to at least get us through Slammiversary. So we'll see. It could be Gresham is signed for 6 months, which that takes us to Slammiversary. That's December through to July, so it would be 7 months. So he'd just have to tack on whatever, assuming they're going to work as a team or as a couple in Impact Wrestling. So who knows?
Gresham is an honorable man. He will finish out his dates to Slammiversary, be fine, figure it out from there.
I have no doubt in my mind that he would. Some sort of catastrophe would have to happen for Gresham to be like, screw this, I'm out of here. Like, they'd really have to do something bad.
I think he probably is signed more short term, because otherwise, why wouldn't you be elevating him to the main event? Like that, these are the guys I want to see in the main event scene. Are guys like Gresham, are guys like Speedball, Trey, Ace Austin and Chris Bay. I'm glad they're the tag team champions. I'm glad Trey has like the X Division title and stuff, but it feels like they've been in that spot for so long. And meanwhile, we just get the rehash of all this, of all the ex champions and everything. Like, I need these guys elevated I'm glad Macklin got elevated up there. Like that was a guy who he came in and immediately showed he was something completely different than he was in WWE, and he was killing it, and he deserved to be elevated to that spot. These other guys have been there longer than Macklin and are still feel like they've been stuck in the same spot that they've been in for the longest time now. I want to see them get elevated up at some point. I'm sure Macklin will enter into a feud with Sami Callihan after who knows long, because Callihan is just it's another guy they're just going to go back to. They're just going to go back to him.
They love him, and I get it. I get why backstage, why they love him. He is absolutely beneficial to that company. Do not get me wrong. He's by most accounts a benefit to wrestling as a whole. He's a good booker. He has a lot of good ideas. That being said, the Sami Callihan character in Impact is floundering beyond floundering. The segment that they did with him this week, he's back to looking at a camera and cutting a selfie promo and saying like, I took care of the design. And it's like, no, you didn't. You did what everyone said you were going to do. You turned on them. I took them apart from the inside. No, you didn't. They team up against Ace of Base next week. I had steps 1 through 7 of my own. Step 1, shave my head. That's just a Thursday. What are you talking about? That's just a Thursday. That's expensive, Sammy. Have you ever gotten a haircut? Shit's getting expensive. Step 2.
Not just shave your head. It's very cheap to just shave your head.
And then he's like, step 2 through 7 includes take out the design. I'm like, that's a lazy plan, Sami Callihan. What are we doing?
$5,000. I'll shave my head.
All right, you got to hear.
I got to really price that one up.
$5,000 in super chats, and Jeremy Lambert will shave his head on camera.
I'm going to get an angry text message here in a second.
Totally fine by me, because we're making $5,000 off it. What is that after YouTube takes it? Like $25?
Yeah, $25 or so. Yeah, not great. I need that PayPal directly to me, by the way. Directly to me. Don't super chat that. Give me that straight into the PayPal. Don't need YouTube taking a cut. Don't need Joel Pearl definitely ain't taking a cut. Sean, Jimmy, no, I need that direct deposit on that one.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. You know what? I would forfeit any cut to give that to you for doing this. By the way, in a couple of minutes, we're going to have Joshua Bishop joining us here on In the Weeds. We're going to talk about AIW, which is near and dear to Jeremy's heart, and we're going to talk about his match with Matt Cardona for the AIW. Was it the Absolute Title?
Absolute Title. Yep. I'm
looking forward to that. I know you're going to have some questions for Josh. I am too. This is going to be a fun interview. I'm looking forward to it. Do you want to set this up? Talk about it.
I was saying Josh Bishop's great. He's been on the spotlight before. We interviewed him after his Gauntlet for the Gold victory. That was a little while ago at this point. It was last year, because I remember watching Gauntlet for the Gold, and the Avs were playing in the second round against the Blues. So I was trying to like watch hockey on my phone, but also pay attention to the wrestling and things like that. So yeah, it's been a while since I've personally talked to Josh like on air and everything, but I'm looking forward to Josh. He does a lot of great stuff with AIW, one of the top stars there, doing a lot of stuff with Black Label Pro, as well as the Midwest champion at Black Label Pro. Yeah, I think this guy will be signed very soon. I can't imagine why he would not be signed in the very near future. The look he has, the charisma he has, just the presence and everything, good worker. I know he gets a lot of comparisons to Sid. Man, if you don't think wrestling needs another Sid, I don't know what to tell you. The Sid is one of the all-time GOATs, all right? So I very much look forward to Josh Bishop joining the show.
How's his softball game? How do you think it is?
We can ask him. We can ask him how his softball game is.
PayPal Jeremy, drop PayPal.
Everyone knows my PayPal, right?
I assume it's the same as your
everything's the same for me. It's my PayPal is jeremylambert88@gmail.com. If you want to PayPal me $5,000, I will shave. Somebody's gonna be crazy enough to do this, and I don't know what is happening.
Yeah. If someone wants to do that for me, I'm not going to shave my head. But if you want to send me $5,000, PayPal.me/Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. Jeremy, what are we doing here? Why are we trying to get your head shaved?
I'm legitimately scared someone's gonna do this now, and I'm gonna have to shave my head. Oh yeah, there's the angry text message. Not angry. What the hell is happening? Then you get the 3 bubbles. That's the worst feeling in the world. Those 3 bubbles. It's like, oh no, what's? Did you say you'd shave your head for $5,000? Yes, that's what I said.
Who stooged you off?
She watches this show. She said awesome. I don't know if that's like sarcastic or she's like, hey, maybe she doesn't care. She's like, yeah, sure, $5,000, whatever. It's your hair. It'll hopefully grow back.
Yeah, $20 is $20.
I'm keeping all the money, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
part of the deal. She just said $5,000. Sure, let's go. It's your head. Nice. Well, as long as she loves me anyway, that's fine. We're good. There you go. 5. All right. I don't feel as bad about it now. I still feel I feel very weird with the shaved head. I don't know how that would look. Very a little worried.
I think it would look pretty okay. I mean, I've seen you with shorter hair before.
Yeah. Should I go clean shaven as well? Just like a friggin' Mr. Clean out here.
So I saw you post that video, and I saw some people get real confused about you having a clean shaven face, and you're like, I did it was it to confuse my mom or to troll my mom?
To troll, yeah, troll my mom. She doesn't like when I go clean shaven. She doesn't like it, and so for her birthday, I was like, I'm just gonna go clean, and then just to troll her and upset her for her birthday. Son of the year, right here. Son of the year.
My general feeling is that you could shave, you could trim, you'd probably look pretty good. I don't think you need like the big full bushy beard like when I first met you.
Yeah, I need to shave it anyway because summer it gets very, very itchy. Oh yeah, I would like the record to show that the wife is never mean. I say this just in fear for my own relationship of that. I feel at some point, Joel, I'm going to do something stupid to where she is just like, I cannot take this idiot anymore. I don't know what that point is going to be, but I'm going to hit some point where she is just like, you know what? Like, you're great. I love you, but like, you're just dumb. And I gotta move on. That's my biggest fear in life.
$100,000. I'll blow up my own car on the air. One day you're gonna have to figure out what the line is on that, because I'm sure that she's in the long haul. But let's face it,
at some point,
every partner has their breaking point.
Yeah, exactly. I commit to a lot of dumb stuff on this show too. I really do, and so again, at some point, she's just gonna be like, "I'm just, what am I doing with my life supporting this man? Like, what is happening here?"
I get it. I really do. That's something that
she deserves so much better. Bless her.
I mean, does she? No, I'm just kidding. this show has flown by. We're waiting for Josh Bishop. Hopefully he's going to be here soon.
He did tell me he might be running a little bit late.
That's we can keep talking. Tonight. Oh well, what might as well get into this. What are we looking forward to tonight on SmackDown or on WWE? Sorry, on WWE SmackDown or AEW Rampage, or if there's
Rampage
something else, the GCW show. Oh, that's right. Rampage is Saturday.
Yeah,
so maybe the GCW show. Are you looking forward to anything from that?
Vikingo's wrestling at the GCW show. I love Vikingo. I forget. Off the top of my head, I do forget who he's actually facing. I apologize. GCW. Jensen's going to be at the GCW show in Atlanta. If you're going to GCW in Atlanta, go say hi to Steven Jensen. Please do that. What's been announced for SmackDown? Woods and Gunther. That should rule.
Yeah,
right?
Like fun.
Yeah. Oh, Vikingo's facing Commander at the Atlanta show. It's like, all right. Well,
have you seen this?
It should be a great match. Yeah. Like I feel like I've seen this like 50 times over the past week here. So
actually, the Billy Starks and Allison Danger match.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, we were talking about getting Allison Danger on the show because Billy Starks has done a ton of Fightful stuff lately, so we wanted to, give her a break. But yeah, that match with Allison Danger is generational differences. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, I was pulling up the card, and yeah, Allison Danger and Billy Starks. That should be a great match. That's at the Atlanta show. Again, if you are going to the Atlanta show, which is tonight, if you're going to that, Steven Jensen's going to be there. Go say hi. Go say hi to him. And then they got another show in Orlando on Saturday. So 2 GCW shows. Yeah, SmackDown. I'm looking forward to Woods and Gunther. I imagine Gunther wins, but Woods, put the title on Woods, man. Give that man all the titles. He's the best.
It'll be fun, but I mean, Gunther, he's on a tear. You can't stop that. I want them to set up something moving forward with LA Knight, Gunther, and Xavier Woods. Maybe that's a triple threat to have in Puerto Rico.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. I was checking my messages and okay. So Josh Bishop messaged me and he just said stop.
Did you not send him the link to this show?
No, I did. I did.
That would have been absolutely fantastic. I'm also looking forward to the women's tag title match. It's going to be Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green challenging Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. I have no doubt in my mind who's going to win this match, Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, because it's the Hot Potato Championship. No, I expect this to be a good match with just a solid defense from the new champions.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to take the titles off them this quickly. Maybe they should, because no offense to Liv and Raquel, that thrown together tag team. Okay, Josh said he's good to go. I sent him the link previously. I will just send it to him again.
All right.
Hopefully we can get this sorted out. Apologies, everybody.
Just to set up for this week, next Friday, I'm sure we're going to have some WWE draft talk because that's going to start next Friday as well. So get prepared for a little bit of that. We'll cross with our AEW talk on Friday as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk draft next Friday. We're going to see what the rules are and everything. Maybe I'll just bring Sean actually on the show instead of him just making a random run-in. Bring him on and just beat him in the draft again since he was a coward and quit the last time.
Who's your number one pick this time?
I can't spoil that. Like, why am I gonna give away my game plan, Joel? That's dumb.
He's not watching.
You don't know that. He's been watching for the majority of the day. Like, he has nothing better to do.
I was going to say, then he found something better to do.
Yeah.
He started updating select stuff. So now he's actually back out of the weeds.
It did. He promoted our interview with Josh Bishop on the latest select post.
He did. So I'm sure we'll have notes from this chat once it's done.
I'll have articles up from this chat once it's done. Article pretty quickly. I would imagine, because I'm good at this, Joel Pro.
You're very good at this. I see him in the waiting room. I don't see a video, so I'm gonna wait and see if there's video that shows up, and then we'll get right into our chat with Josh Bishop.
Okay.
And I'll even let you introduce the man, because he's your best pal now. We're gonna start this. You know how Drew McIntyre is Alex McCarthy's best friend?
Yes.
You are now Joshua Bishop's best friend.
You should ask him how he feels about that. Like, we can't ask Drew how Alex McCarthy feels about it, but I don't want to. Josh probably no, I don't want to be associated with this person. Again, I would not blame him.
I also understand. Yes, I fully understand that. It would make sense. I see chat saying that R-Truth is #1 draft pick. So there it is.
Okay,
no,
Josh doesn't have video. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'll set this up. He's Joshua Bishop. He is the Black Label Pro Midwest champion. He is challenging Matt Cardona for the AIW Absolute Championship tomorrow at AIW here in Ohio. Yes, he's Josh Bishop. Please welcome him to the show in the weeds. Go, Josh.
He is the only 3-time champion, a 3-time Absolute champion, a former AIW Tag Team champion, a former C4 Underground champion. Put a little more sizzle on it.
I see. This is why we can't be best friends, because I did not do you justice on the intro there, Josh. I apologize.
So
all right, one half of the Rip City Shooters.
There it is.
That is sure. Rip City Shooters. Wes Barkley. Shout out to him.
Sorry.
So hold on. So Josh, hold on. I didn't realize that you're working shows in Ottawa, Canada, my hometown. Can you tell me, like, first of all, what's it like working in Ottawa? Because it's a weird city.
I love it. I love Ottawa. I love C4 Wrestling. Come next week. I'll be there Friday before I go to Black Label on Saturday.
What? All right, you just wrestled Gangrel at Squared Circle Expo.
Oh,
well, yeah. Tell us about wrestling Gangrel.
Gangrel, the absolute man. That's cool. He could not have been better. He was so cool. It was awesome. An awesome experience. An awesome time. Gangrel is the man. If anyone gets a chance to meet Gangrel or see him ever, say what's up to him, he is the man.
Did you get some of the Gangrel beer? He has a beer, the brewed beer. Did you get to try that?
No, I didn't want to ask about it. I also don't think he even had any on him because he was flying from a movie in Vegas. So he just got there.
You've had a couple of
because he only did a signing on Saturday.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Are we back? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. You've had a couple of go-rounds with Eric Stevens. The man hits very hard. You've clearly had a bit of a kinship with him. Talk to me about working with Eric Stevens, because follow up on that question is going to be the cookies. So get ready for that.
All right. Eric Stevens, another guy, the man. He's awesome. He's retired. I hope he comes back. I'd love to wrestle him again. I think our last match, we both just very unhappy with it just because of a bunch of different things. I like our match. I like we'll put a lot more. I think it's our third or fourth match of the day today because of the finals of the tournament. And that's fun. That's just what I like to get into it. It's more of a hard-hitting style. And I don't McGee. That's the nickname you get.
The audio is very choppy, and now we might have just lost them completely.
Oh no!
My
it's on and off. It's choppy.
Yeah, it's very robot Josh Bishop voice right now.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It keeps going wrong for you guys too. I don't know how to fix. I don't know.
You got Bishop.
I'm just coming straight off. Let me leave and come back real quick.
Okay.
Not a problem.
It actually sounded good when you said he was about to leave.
I know. That's how they get you. Sorry, folks. We're going to handle some technical difficulties. We'll get through it, and then we'll get back to having a good chat. We had started strong, and then the internet got in the way.
We started bad because my intro was terrible, Joel. I undersold this man.
Buried you.
Yeah, true. Fair
Your
enough.
best pal, Josh Bishop, set you straight. Do you want to try it again when he comes back?
Yes, I will try to do. I will do a better intro for him. We'll just redo everything there, so I don't get yelled at by Josh. I'm probably gonna see him soon at AIW. I don't need him like you say him. He does like when he goes around and slaps hands and fist bumps with people. He like punches them. Like, it looks like he's trying to hurt these people who just want a high five from him. Very intense man.
That's why I'm interested in his matches with Eric Stevens, because Eric Stevens is another guy who'll beat the shit out of you just for funsies.
I don't. The people who do that, very scary human beings.
Yeah, man. I'm looking at the accomplishments. You really did miss a lot of them.
I did. I was just going on. I was trying to promote what he is now as a Black Label Pro Midwest champion, and trying to promote the match with Cardona. You know, if we're gonna have to, Joel, if we're gonna have to start naming the accomplishments of every guest we have, we might be here for some of this stuff. We're gonna have some big guests on. You imagine when we get the Miz, how long that accomplishment list is gonna be?
No, because he'll tell it to you yourself. He'll do it for you. That's fine.
Right. He's back. He's the Black Label Pro Midwest champion, 3-time AIW Absolute champion, C4 Underground champion, 3-time AIW Intense champion, AIW Tag Team champion with Wes Barkley, Rip City Shooters, UXWA Tag Team champion with Wes Barkley. He's facing Matt Cardona. He's going to beat Matt Cardona's ass this weekend at AIW and get the title back. He's Josh Bishop.
And he's back.
I'm back, and I think I fixed my audio issues. I was only getting one bar where I was at for some reason, so then I just walked around.
Oh,
much better. Sounds so clear now.
I'm in debt. Sorry about that.
No, we're good.
Oh,
I'm glad
you're good.
we got saved. I got him covered up.
Love that intro. A lot better intro, though. Take 2.
Yeah, look.
Fired me up.
Got a shot of redemption there. The first one, we're gonna throw that out the window. We're gonna throw that one out the window. This is where it's at right here. All right, you're telling us about Eric Stevens and how hard he hits, and then cookies.
Okay, Eric Stevens, the man, great dude, great dad. Had a fun match with him at Black Label. We wrestled at AIW at Hell on Earth. I wish we could have run that. I hope we can run that match back one day if he wants to unretire again. That'd be kind of cool. He makes great cookies. He hits hard. I love it when people hit me hard because it just makes it kind of is just like the green lights. It just, all right, cool. We're just rocking and rolling. Because, I mean, they call me Stiffy McGee for a reason, man. That's a name that you got to earn. You don't just get that given to you.
See, that's what I was going to ask, was because, you know, not everyone wants to take the shots they dole out, but it's good that you are the type who's like, you hit me, I'll hit you, and we'll really beat the shit out of each other.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a dick move, I think, if you're just going to beat the shit out of somebody and then complain about it in the back. Or maybe, I don't know, let's say maybe if I had a move in my arsenal called, like, the broski boot or something, and maybe every time I hit you with it, I kicked you in the head as hard as fucking possible, and then called you Stiffy McGee on my podcast and said that you hit me really hard, and I would never stiff anybody, but in reality, my boot in the corner allegedly may be an instant heel to the back of your head, almost as it feels like. It's like he kicks you in the front of the head and you feel in the back of your head. But that's all alleged, you know. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. That's just if I had a move in my arsenal called the broski boot.
Jeremy?
This match against Cardona, you finally get him in a singles match. So to set this up for people, you were on our show, myself and Jensen, the Spotlight, when we kind of like broke the news to you that
That's
Cardona was injured.
Fuck. Yeah, you're right.
And you would not be getting that match. Now here we are, almost a year later. No breaking news that Cardona is hurt. A year later, you're gonna face Cardona, but now he's got Bill Alfonso. Now he's got Steph DeLander on his side. But how are you feeling now? You finally get your hands on Matt Cardona one-on-one.
Oh, I cannot wait. It's going to be electric this Saturday night. This Saturday night in the Tadmore Shrine, if you are anywhere within, I would say, 10 to 12 hours of driving distance to Cleveland or to Akron, Ohio, the Dirty 330, my hometown, you better get your ass there. Because there's no Cavs basketball. They're playing tonight. Going to put the New York Knicks down in their home court. And then Saturday night, the championship's coming back home. Right back. I'm going to be the first ever 4-time Absolute champion. Matt Cardona, I like that you think that you're pulling a fast one on me by bringing in Bill Alfonso to your little crew. But the thing is, I've been dealing with Fonzie for years. This ain't my first rodeo with Bill Alfonso down there. I've won titles before. I've won the Absolute title, actually, with Bill Alfonso ringside. And he had to watch his little boy, Matt Justice, get his ass pinned 1, 2, 3 while I was crowned the new Absolute champ. So, Bill Alfonso, you're not scaring me, bud. I'm not too afraid. Cardona, you might have pulled a fast one on me. I'll be honest. You pulled a fast one on me. You got one over on me in Cleveland. But in Akron, there is no chance. I don't know what you're going to have to bring a tank or something because I am ready to destroy this dude. I have been looking forward to getting my hands on this dude in a one-on-one rematch. We have not had a one-on-one match since our first encounter in October of, I believe, 2021, if I'm being exact.
Yeah,
so this is years in the making. You've been ducking and dodging me. You have your bicep. How hurt was it, man? Huh? Were you just trying to avoid the Icon? Were you trying to avoid Stiffy McGee? Because this Saturday night in Akron, Ohio, there's going to be no avoiding the intense Icon. Because Stiffy McGee, I have just been getting these hands ready. I've been just smacking bricks trying to callus these hands up. I've been doing heavy deadlifts. My hands look rugged and rough. I can't wait to just pull this dude. He puts that good little cut in his to try and show off his pecs and his shirts when he cuts them with that brother cut. I can't wait to get him in the corner. I'm going to rip that shirt off completely, expose that chest, and I'm just going to chop the fuck out of this dude. And I cannot wait to light him up. I'm going to try and rip his heart out through his chest.
So there's an easy headline.
That's great. I love it. So, okay, let's talk about it. So Steph DeLander is going to be with Matt Cardona, and so will Fonzie. Let's say you get two people to come and join you at ringside for this event to even out the odds. Who are you picking, Josh?
Do I get any two ever?
Ever. Pick your best.
I'm taking my main man, Maserati Wes Barkley, with me. And honestly, if I could have anyone else by my side, I would pick the Iceman, Ricky Bricks, the Brickster. He's not really around as much anymore these days. I wish he was, but he's still out there. But I know he's still got a few screws loose. He might not be in the wrestling business as much anymore. But that is, I swear to God, the craziest man I've ever met in my life. And that is the only man I've ever seen Matt Justice run from. If you want to know how crazy that man is, that man knocked out Matt Justice with headbutts.
All right, we got to set the record straight on something. There's a lot of rumor and innuendo that when Sean Ross Sapp came in and attacked Shazza McKenzie, that those in the locker room were not happy with what happened out there. Did you confront Sean Ross Sapp backstage? Were you wrapping the hands ready to punch him in the face for ruining Shazza McKenzie's moment?
No, I don't give a fuck. Sean Ross can do whatever he wants with Shazza McKenzie. As long as he's not coming for that Midwest title, he's not my problem. He knows better. He saw me sniffing the smelling salts. Me and Filthy Tom were out there. We're grappling. We're fighting. Me and Tom are doing live rounds on each other. We're just fucking punching each other in the face before our matches, getting amped up. I'm ripping these smelling salts. We're crying. We're laughing. We're getting amped up. I'm getting ready to go out there fang and bang and defend my Midwest title. So Sean Ross, he knew better than to come after the champ. I don't really give a fuck what he does as long as he stays out of my way. Because you only got two options when you're getting in the ring with Rip City shoes, and it's get out of the way or get ran the fuck over.
Is that your pre-match routine? He did mention you have a very intense pre-match routine. You and Tom Lawler just punching each other in the face?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's for some people, they might say some of the things I do is intense or a little bit off the wall, but for me, it's just another day in life. I wake up at 4 a.m. every day, and I hit the smelling salts to wake me up. I don't need coffee. It just clears out the sinuses and gets me ready to the road. It gets me locked and loaded for a day because I got to wake up those weights. They're sleeping. Those weights at 4 a.m., those 25s is what it feels like a 10 because they're sleeping. A 45 in the morning at 4 a.m. is only a 25 because it's been sleeping all night. It's not as heavy in the morning, but you get there about 5, 6 p.m. That's why people have a hard time at the gym. You get there 5, 6, 7 after a long day's work. Fuck. You don't want to fucking lift those weights, and they've been getting dropped all day by who knows who. So a 45 could be a 70 for all you know because it could be so burnt out and pissed off, it's going to make itself a little heavier for you. That's why you got to sneak attack those weights early in the morning.
Now I don't know what I want to see more: Sean Ross Sapp versus Josh Bishop, or a bunch of weights becoming sentient and alive and taking on Josh Bishop at 5 in the morning.
That's why I get it in early. You got to get it in early and bang and clang early.
I'm fine with it. Jeremy, what else do you want to ask?
What music do you listen to when you're clanging and banging?
Really, I've been listening to a lot of Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Really?
guys.
That's the young goat right there.
That's amazing. I'm into that. Did we just lose his audio?
Maybe
Did he mute us?
To listen to Olivia Rodrigo, I wouldn't blame
I
him.
think so. I would have done it too. Listen, Olivia
That
Rodrigo.
is Booty Mix 11 is probably my favorite, but I'll go Big Booty Mix anything. 1 through 23, it just kind of depends what I'm feeling that day, whatever. And I listen to lately because I'm just in there jamming and I'm just banging and clanging, getting after it, thinking about how I can't wait. I mean, I gotta build these arms up. I'm doing chops with the 25s in each hand, so that way I'm ready to just chop everyone hard as fuck on the weekend.
Jeremy kind of alluded to it earlier, or asked the question when your audio wasn't doing so hot, but now we have you and you're solid. You had a match with Gangrel recently for the PLP Midwest title. Talk about
legend.
Talk to me. Working with Gangrel, who is a legend, like, is there what do you learn working with a guy like Gangrel?
Oh, I don't know what I can say on here, but you learn some things getting in there with old Gangrel. Because fagging and banging it, I don't know what time we went out there, like 12 in the morning. It was awesome. It could not have been a better experience because we're just out there and Gangrel's just talking shit to me while we're out there, and I'm just fucking laying it right back in at him, and we're just beating the piss out of each other and just I'm having the time of my life out there. I live for that shit. I don't know, but some people might hate it, but I just love when you're just in there and it's just getting real.
I love it. Jeremy, go ahead.
You've also worked like Big Damo, Rhino, like who have people who have been around, been part of WWE and everything. Who is a guy that is giving you some advice when it comes to that? Like a veteran guy who has been like, all right, this is something that you need to work on, or this is something you do really well.
Honestly, you know what? Right now I'm gonna give a little shout out to my guy that nobody would probably think that I talk to on like a decently regular basis, or that really is like a mentor of mine. But I'm gonna give a shout out to Chris Hero. He texts me a lot. He's always checking in when I do these FaceTimes, or he'll watch something and break it down for me. It's awesome. Big Damo is a big help too, because he gets it because he started on the Indies and he was in WWE. Now he's back on the Indies, so he's just. Not that there's anything wrong with like a Rhino or anything like that. I just think, I don't know. It's just different. I wrestled Rhinos in a fucking exploding cage match. You know what I mean? So that's not really. You're not
a little bit different environment there.
Yeah, you're not really going to be under the learning tree when you're wrestling in front of 5,000 juggalos in an exploding cage match on Halloween.
Hold on, I got to hear about this. An exploding? I have not seen this.
I'm the king of the exploding cage match. Actually, I've never won a single one of them, but I did two last year. I had a 3-way dance at the Gathering of the Juggalos with Vampiro and Delirious. We wrestled at about 4 a.m. It was pretty awesome. And then I worked Rhino on Halloween in an exploding cage match also.
That's bonkers.
Both on YouTube, if anyone was wanted to watch them.
Yeah, I think I have something to do this afternoon.
What is it like wrestling in front of juggalos? Like, how is that crowd compared to a normal wrestling crowd?
I love it.
Kind of are a normal wrestling crowd.
I love them. I love it because they hate me, so I love it. Talk all the shit you want to, juggalos. Shit talk me about my blonde hair, about my muscles, whatever you want. I love that shit. It doesn't throw me off my game one bit. It motivates me more.
Have you developed a favorite flavor of Faygo Cola as a result?
No, I don't like pop.
Oh, all right.
No pop for me.
You're definitely Midwest because pop. I have this debate in my household: pop and soda. I call it soda.
Why?
The rest of I'm from North Carolina. I've always called it soda. It's not pop to me.
You're silly. It's pop, man.
A pop is what you get when you go out in front of the audience, Josh Bishop. A pop is what Sean Ross Sapp knows nothing about at Black Label Pro.
Oh, yeah.
Soda is what you drink.
No, you get you hear that pop noise when you pop the can open.
No, that's a fish. Anyway, Mike from Indeed asks, when is Chris Hero bringing in Josh Bishop to West Coast Pro?
Oh, I don't know. I don't ask about that kind of stuff. You got to ask the matchmaker that.
Question for Chris Hero, not
That
Josh
is a
Bishop.
question. Yeah. Let's get Hero in here next week, and we'll it'll be 20 minutes of him of us asking, when do you book Josh Bishop?
You want me to text him? I'll see if he can get you. So make a spot for you.
All right.
Hey, look, I'd love to have Chris Hero on this show.
Go.
Are you kidding me? Chris Hero rules.
He is the man. The big piece of advice he's given me lately is stop getting hit with chairs. And I've really been trying to implement it in my game because it kind of sucks.
So I asked you about Ottawa, Canada, and I know you put it.
C4 Wrestling, baby, next week. What are you doing Friday?
So I'm in Toronto, unfortunately, but I have a lot of friends in Ottawa because, again, my hometown. It's a different beast, C4, and working Ottawa. Talk to me about the C4 experience. Some people are starting to see more of them through IWTV and through Fight and all that stuff.
I love I cannot put into words how much I love C4 Wrestling because I don't know what it is, but maybe they just don't have maniacs up there or something, but I just feel some weird connection with the crowd, and there's like a whole group that I love. It's like the whole Sean Frost crew. I don't know if anyone even knows who that is. Sean Frost Real Estate, shout out. His crew he brings, they has like a crew of like 20. They took a liking to me right away, and they kind of helped with the rest of the crowd. And I just love getting it there because it's packed. These shows are packed, and the crowds are hot, and it's just fun to just get out there and just go nuts. Because Manders and I had a good one out there. If anyone hasn't seen that one, highly recommend that one. I gave him a crazy awesome bomb to the floor, probably almost killed him. They give me just fun matchups. I got in there with Young Jay Lee, if anyone knows who that. If you guys know who that is, he's out of Buffalo. He's awesome. I want to get that dude in AIW at some point this year. He's awesome. I've had fun ones. Got to team with Lufisto, which is awesome because she's a legend of wrestling. So they always just have something awesome for me. I love going up there. I'm so happy every time I know that I look at my calendar and I just know I got C4 in like a week or two. It just makes me look forward to it. It's seriously one of my favorite places to go. I love C4 wrestling.
Have you become a poutine guy after working C4 and working?
I've never had poutine. My usual routine is I get stopped at the border because I look like a maniac. They pull us all in. They look through the car. They find the title belts. Then they go, oh, the champ is here. They say some shit like that. They send us on our way. We get there probably 30 minutes before the show starts. I just eat nothing besides like the apples and stuff that are back there, which is pretty awesome. That is honestly a low-key underrated thing, is that C4 has snacks in the back. If a promotion has snacks in the back, it just is like a chef's kiss. Like, all right, thank God, because I am hungry as fuck, and I did not pack enough food. Or I did not get enough food at the last stop. Oh, and they always have bottles of water, too, which I always need that bottle of water to just spike at the ground and soak everyone in the blast zone when I come out. And
before bring your own apples night now.
Yeah. But, so I've never had any, like, poutine or anything, any, like, Canadian exclusive treats. I know you guys have, like, ketchup chips or something. I really don't like ketchup or mustard or any of that stuff, so I don't have, that doesn't sound tasty to me, so I don't get that. The only thing is that you guys have these one cherry, like jelly, I don't know how to describe them. They're cherry jelly filled Sour Patch Kids. That's the only like Canadian exclusive treat that I get every time I go. And they're so sour and they burn my mouth every time. And I continue to be an idiot and just eat and try and put the whole bag in my mouth at once like an idiot. And then my tongue hurts for like 2 days after.
Now I'm gonna have to come to Ottawa when you're working a C4 show. Say hi, and we'll find a little poutine spots. We'll have a little poutine.
I'd love to get one.
I
don't know. I don't even know what it is.
It's carbs. It's just carbs.
That's what I need.
That's all you need.
Yeah, people try and ask me what my diet is. My diet is a Little Caesars pizza every day because you cannot beat the calories per dollar. Because it's nearly 3,000 calories.
It's a very cheap deal.
Yeah, and then my rule is if you're going to eat something unhealthy, you just have 2 protein shakes with it, and then it makes it not as bad. It's not really a good theory, but that's my theory.
This is the man after my heart right now.
Yeah. Little Caesars is not good pizza, though. It's good price, not good pizza.
Yeah, It doesn't matter. You just fold 2 slices over. You got to order online, so they always make it fresh for you. Then you pick it up. It's still warm and steamy. You fold 2 slices over, and you just slug them down real fast. I used to be able to eat one in 8 minutes because I could eat one in my drive from when I pick it up to get home. And then you just slug 2 protein shakes after, and you take a little nap, and you wake up and you're jacked.
You eat it because it's there.
Yeah.
Have you done a eating competition with oh, now I'm gonna he escapes my name. We've had him on the spotlight.
Megabyte Ronnie.
Yes, Megabyte Ronnie. I was thinking of his partner.
No, he's a real eater. I'm like a fake eater. I just eat. I can't do like a competition. I just do it for myself. I think I'd crack under pressure. Plus, there's nothing really I like eating that much. I don't think I could eat what's he eat, like 50 hot dogs once a year or something? That's crazy to me. That's so gross.
Insane stuff that he eats. Josh, last one. I won't take up too much of your time, but
no, keep it going. I'm good. Let's keep it rocking. I feel like those first 5 minutes were bad because I had that bad audio. I owe you guys at least 10 more minutes.
Oh, we've been doing great so far.
Yeah. I still didn't ask this. Be remiss if I didn't ask this. Car accident earlier this year. That was a tough time for a lot of independent wrestlers. First off, glad everyone is doing okay. But,
my God, was that terrifying?
Yeah. So how was that? Like, take us back to that. What happened there?
The only way I could describe it, honestly, is when you're driving in Grand Theft Auto and you just hit something really fast and you just spin around in the air a bunch and then you come down and your car's like really fucked up.
Yes.
That's
none of that's
like.
good.
Yeah. Like we were just spinning and I was like, I'm gonna die on a Sunday morning. And I didn't even get to wrestle. Like, at least it would have been better if it was like Sunday night, you know what I mean? Because then I would have had a match. But I think I was supposed to do like something with Sabu that day too, which kind of pissed me off because then I missed the show. But I mean, obviously, like the car wreck sucked because like my body's all hurt and stuff. But mainly, I was just mad I missed the show more than anything. Because I mean, poor Marino's his car, so his car is he got totaled out. But it was just like went in the air, and then like came down into like. Luckily, it was like rainy and wet, so like the dirt was really like. I don't know, would you say softer kind of, the ground. And so then we just got stuck in nature's wall, pretty much the bottom of this hill. And his car was implanted in like an angle, like from a Grand Theft Auto scene. That's how I would describe it.
So nothing lingering after all that?
No, I just felt like, usual terribleness for like an extra 2 or 3 weeks, but it's fine.
Man, what a way to go.
Yeah. Luckily, I mean, we definitely got so lucky that there was no other car on the road near us or we would have died because we were just spinning in the highway.
Yeah. Across
all the lanes.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, the fact that there were no other, like you said, no other cars. If that's the worst that happened was you guys totaled the car and got some pain out of it.
Yeah, we got super lucky.
You're good.
Very lucky. Very lucky. Very lucky. I don't want to undermine the situation. It was scary, obviously. And terrifying, but luckily, like the best case scenario for that situation is what happened. So we got lucky.
Very glad that it didn't turn out to be worse. Because I remember reading about it, and it was like, oh, fortunately, everybody was okay. And
because his car was falling backwards, and that's what ripped the bumper and the muffler off. Was he was falling back? We were going backwards downhill, then flipped again and turned to land forward.
None of this sounds good. None of this sounds even possible. Much less
I'm trying to put it in my head.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, now I can kind of laugh about it because I was just like, "Well, it's happening." I'm like, "Holy fuck, I'm gonna die!" But then it just kept going for like 2 minutes of us spinning and shit, and then we like are going backwards, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, we're still not dead." Sorry, I don't know if I can swear here.
No, you're good.
You're good.
You can.
Sorry.
Joel can do some editing.
Sorry about that, Joel.
Now we're deep into the show. It's okay.
I'm sorry. Sorry, man.
You're good. You're good, then. Thank you for sharing that because I can't imagine, and it sounds terrifying, but again, glad everybody is okay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what happened was when we landed, I just started laughing. Because I don't know, that's how I just deal with stuff. I try and find the humor in a terrible situation. I know it's probably not the best way, but I don't know. I just like comedy a lot, and just dark comedy is kind of what I like. So I just started laughing like, I cannot believe we're not dead.
Okay,
like we just lived through that. Can you guys believe that shit?
hold on. Give me a favorite movie, a dark comedy movie that like is
Oh,
number one. You got to watch it all the time.
My favorite movie of all time is probably Superbad.
Oh,
I just think that is a classic.
Yeah.
have you seen Hot Rod?
I have not seen Hot Rod.
You got to watch
Oh,
Hot Rod. Just a
yeah.
funny.
I think you would really like Hot Rod.
Yeah, Andy Samberg thinks he's a daredevil. That's all you got to know.
Ooh, I love Andy Samberg. I love Saturday Night Live. I'm a big SNL fan.
Got to watch.
So I loved growing up on the Lonely Island.
Oh yeah.
You should definitely watch Hot Rod. I think you would
right.
definitely enjoy that. And shout out to Lonely Island. I listened to some of their songs on the way home from an AEW event 2 weeks ago. Those beats go hard. Lonely Island beats. They do not have to go that hard.
No, underrated. Underrated is the Lonely Island.
So as we start to wrap it up and wind down, you've had a few people, they look at you and they think, he looks a lot like Sid Justice.
Oh, you don't have to say a few people. I get this shit every weekend.
Well,
and
yeah.
no matter what show I'm at. And that's cool. I mean, it's a lot better than being compared to like a jabroni, because Sid was like a world champion and he was jacked and he was huge and he looked sweet. But I'm probably going to break a lot of people's hearts here. Guys, I'm a little too young for Sid. I was born after Goldberg already had the streak going. Like, Sid wasn't really doing too much while I was growing up. I'd watch clips of him here and there on YouTube, like if I was watching old wrestling back, or I got like an old DVD, and I would know who he was then. But I didn't grow up like a big Sid fan. I just like dyed my hair blonde because I knew I wanted to bleed. So I always thought when Ric Flair was bleeding, his hair looked sweeter because it was sucking in that blood.
But here's the real question: how's your softball game?
Oh, terrible, probably.
That's how you know he's not Sid Bridges.
Oh, fuck. I don't think I've run the bases since I was in like 5th grade, maybe. I could probably hit a dinger, but if it was coming straight on me, I could probably knock it out of the park. But you throw a curveball or something at me, I am not getting it. I was not a baseball kid. I played lacrosse.
Oh, there's a good sport. All right.
Yeah.
Before we do wrap up, you mentioned the Cavs. I know you're a basketball fan. First time we talked to you, I remember you were playing like 2K before we went on air, which popped me.
You got it.
Cavs, how are we feeling? 1-1 against the Knicks right now. How are we feeling about the Cavs?
I'm feeling good. I'll be honest. Tonight, I do expect possibly. I know this is bad. It's Jared Allen's B-Day, but shout out Jared Allen, big 2-5. But I think the Knicks might get this one, I will say, but I do think we're going to take the next one. I think game 4, I think we're coming back to Cleveland, 2-2, series tied. That's my hope. I'd love it if we're coming back 3-1, and then we close it out of the land. And I honestly think that those Milwaukee Bucks or those Miami Heat, they have no chance. They have no clue what's in store for them when Spida just lights it up. I think the Cavs, I don't want to jinx myself and say we're going all the way, but I could seriously say we're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. We might lose the next 3 games in a row, and I'm going to look like a fucking idiot for saying that. But
Josh, it's Cleveland. Cleveland just breaks your heart. That's the gimmick.
I know.
That's the gimmick.
It's in reality. I'm looking right now at a picture. It says Cavs playoffs 2023. I think maybe, listen, if things don't go good in LA this year, things don't go good in LA next year, we got that 2024 draft pick. We gave our boys another 2 years to develop, get that unity going. We got the big 4. The King says, you know what? I got to end it where I started it. I got one more run in me. We draft Bronny. He gives it the new Prince of Cleveland. That's what I'll call him, the new Prince of Cleveland, Bronny James. He comes 6th man of the year, Bronny James, and Rookie of the Year. You get LeBron in at the 3. You got an elite starting group of Evan Mobley, you got Jared Allen, you got LeBron, you got DG the PG, and you got Spida. And you tell me who in the fuck is going to beat that team. We might hit a 3-peat and send LeBron out of here on a 3-ring run. And he's just going to hand the Kings over to the Prince, Bronny. There's a reason we kept that 2024 draft pick. I'm just saying that. LeBron, you want to come back? We'll take you back. Listen, I was at your first homecoming in Akron. I'll gladly play up some Diddy Dirty Money coming home. I'd love to have you back.
Oh, Josh, we appreciate it. By the way, the team that beats them is the Oklahoma City Thunder with the young Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey.
No, I do like the Thunder. I do like the Thunder. SGA is a beast. Josh Giddey, I like his money. But the thing is, I just think the problem with the Thunder's going to be is you're going to have too many mouths to feed. Too many mouths to feed in Oklahoma City.
This is Sam Presti said this of like, oh, you got too many good players, too many draft picks. Yeah, it's a problem having too much money. This is an issue. All of a sudden, you have too much money.
Egos in the NBA. There's no egos.
That
in
is
Cleveland. No egos in Cleveland.
No egos in OKC so far. All right, John, the wind is kicking the shit out of you right now.
Oh, I know. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Josh, let everyone know where they can find you at. And thank you again for joining us today.
You can find me on Twitter at Joshua Bishop. I don't even know. I gotta look actually. I'm not big. I'm not a good social media guy. Oh, Joshua Bishop _ on Twitter. Joshua Bishop II on Instagram for Intense Icon, not the second. I'm an original. I really use, even though I don't really use them. I have a lot of wrestling stuff muted because I think people just get mad at each other and it's a lot of drama for no reason. So I follow a lot of NBA stuff and memes, NBA memes. But you can find me this Saturday night becoming the first ever 4-time Absolute Champion in Akron, Ohio. And honestly, you know what? Once I get that Absolute strap back, listen, LeBron, I'm just gonna say I'll give you the crown when you come back. I'll give you the keys to our city back. But I'm holding it down as the king. I'm proclaiming right now I am the new king of Northeast Ohio until LeBron wants to come back. Then I'll hand him right back over to you. But I'll have to hold it down for you. One man can only do so much, LeBron.
Josh Bishop and Matt Cardona, Absolute Title match this Saturday, April 22nd. It's going to be match. Forward to it. Josh Bishop, thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you guys. I'm sorry if I was just ranting too much or raving. I don't think I'm a good interview, but I appreciate you having me on. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you, Josh. We appreciate it.
Take care. That was such a fun chat. My God.
Oh, he's great. He's great. He did that last time when he was on Spot. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to interview everything. We do it. We did like an hour with him or something, and he's so good. Once we got the audio cleared up, then the wind kicked in at the end. What can you do, right? It's live. He was out in like the parking lot, I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely was. That's fine. It was a good time. This was a really good chat. This was a good episode, Jeremy Lambert. We went very long today because it's Friday and because we wanted to make time for Josh. But do check out that show. It's on Fight Plus, AIW. They present Damn because they're gonna have the one and only Farouk Ron Simmons in attendance for the show. So go check that out if you're around and you want to watch it on Fight Plus, or if you happen to be in Akron and you want to go watch the show live and in person, they still have some tickets remaining as far as I can see. So check it out, AIW Wrestling. Jeremy Lambert, let's get the plugs. Let's get out of here. It's time for lunch.
It is time for lunch. I feel like I should go to that AIW show.
I thought you were.
I thought about it. You know, I got things going on, Joel Pearl. Like it's tough to make plans. I should have gone. I could have gone to AEW this past week, and I didn't in Pittsburgh. I didn't end up going to that one. To be completely honest, the card didn't like speak to me that I wanted to make this trip to Pittsburgh to watch that event. I should probably go to this AIW show. I'll see what I can do. Only if I can get the big high five from Josh and he ruins my hand. You think Jimmy would like insure it? These are the money makers right here, Joel Pearl. Like Fightful don't exist. These are the headline gods right here.
You know, text to speech exists, right?
Nah, it doesn't work that well.
Better start learning to type with your feet.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't have any plugs. Don't follow me on Twitter. Follow Steven Jensen on Twitter at @FightTalk_. Tune into everything we got going on Fightful Overbooked. I will say this. First week in the books, within the weeds. I was really happy with everything we accomplished this week. And I thought it was good. And I look forward to continue to do this show. We got good ideas when it comes to guests and things. I really like the format. I really believe in this. And thank you to everyone who was tuned in this week. Thank you to guests this week. Deanna Purrazzo was on Monday. Matt Black from WrestleZone was on Monday. Alex McCarthy was on Wednesday. We had Andrew Zarian on short notice today. We had Haley and Kiley from Tag Talk today. And of course, Josh Bishop. Thank you to all the guests this week who joined us in the weeds. And yeah, looking forward to the future of this show. And thank you, Joel Pearl, I guess.
Thank you, Jeremy. This is something that we kind of talked about in short notice because I realized I'm waking up earlier and earlier during the days and said maybe wrestling needs a morning show that isn't just busted open radio. So we went in the weeds and we decided let's do this Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 a.m. until, well, currently almost 1 p.m. But I think we'll stick to the noon because otherwise I might fall asleep at my desk. As great as the conversation is, 5 hours of sleep doesn't keep me awake. So
coffee. I'm a two coffee a day person now. I'm about to fire up another one.
Yeah, I hear you. It's going to be a busy day. I got to go record Strong Style next. So good luck to me and our friend Cher Delaware, who's amazing. But anyway, there's tons of content here at Fightful Overbooked. If you haven't subscribed to us yet, go ahead, do that now. That episode of Strong Style that I just kind of mentioned will be going up in the next few days, I think. And until then,
Sunday morning,
sure, whatever. And then Kate and I have to do a thing at night anyway, so what does it matter?
Yeah.
Until then, I am Actual Pearl, JOELPEARL. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, enjoy your weekend and come get in the weeds with us on Monday at 10 a.m. here on Fightful Overbooked. Cheers.